Chapter 11:17. At this moment, Yi Xian, who was hiding in the corner, couldn't help but laugh in his heart when he heard this. Luolua's charm may be seen through by others, but my eye of control has no weaknesses. Let's see how you deal with it. He waited for a while before letting Luoluo charm the Zhao family members. As for himself, he also left more than 10 spots empty. Then, he continued to control them and gave them a certain order. As for himself, he rushed towards the alchemy hall. 2 of the 3 great alchemy elders in the alchemy hall had fallen, leaving only Elder Song. Therefore, Elder Song had a 6th-level manifestation realm bodyguard. After sensing this aura, Yi Xian's footsteps paused as he thought to himself, a 6th-level manifestation realm martial artist? Compared to the Blood Cloth sect's old sect leader, his strength is too weak. It shouldn't be a problem to kill him before the others react. When he thought of this, Yi Xian approached Elder Song's residence and ruthlessly stabbed his sword at the 2 people. Heartbreak sword technique. Whoosh! A cold light pierced through the air and directly attacked the 6th-level manifestation realm expert. This 6th-level manifestation realm expert was also a century-old monster. When he heard this piercing sound, he immediately raised his hand. Bang! Yi Xian's attack was defeated. Found you! This 6th level of the manifestation realm expert immediately charged out. Yi Xian had used the heartbreak sword technique once before, so he recognized it. However, he didn't expect Yi Xian to be able to set up an ambush by himself. After experiencing the previous incident, the entire Blood Cloth sect was silent. The commotion here had already alarmed the surrounding people. The Blood Cloth sect's old sect leader would probably arrive soon. After stabbing out with his sword, Yi Xian immediately turned around and fled. The expert at the 6th level of the Wanxiang stage also condensed his true qi and Wanxiang force to form 12 blood pillars. You still want to run? Stay here. An explosive shout was heard. Yi Xian turned around and saw the 12 blood pillars again. However, his attention wasn't on the 12 blood pillars, but on the 6th level manifestation realm expert's position. We're here. Yi Xian's eyes flickered. Boom! 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 Yi Xian nimbly dodged the pillars of blood, but he was trapped within them. The 6th-level manifestation realm expert from the Blood Cloth sect had a solemn expression. Because Yi Xian had disappeared in front of everyone's eyes just now, he hastily activated the 2nd stage. Buzz! A gigantic blood-red bell materialized and descended, connecting seamlessly with the 12 blood pillars. Not only that, the ground beneath Yi Xian's feet had turned into a sea of blood. Now he was trapped alive. However, right when that 6th-level manifestation stage expert heaved a sigh of relief. Hua! Suddenly, a crack appeared on his back. Then, Yi Xian leaped out, clad in a dazzling golden armor. Golden Dragon Capturing Hands. Golden Dragon Capturing Hands. Yi Xian stretched out his hands, and 2 large golden hands appeared. What? The 6th-level manifestation stage expert couldn't react in time and was directly caught. Dang! Yi Xian didn't say anything and directly stabbed out with the Skyquake sword. Whoosh! Poof! The sword ray entered the opponent's head, instantly tearing it apart. Success! When the sword ray shot into the opponent's head, the corners of Yi Xian's mouth slightly curled up. At the same time, he also felt a powerful aura enter his sensing range. Bastard, stop! The voice of the Blood Cloth sect's old sect master sounded, but it was already too late. At this moment, Yi Xian had already taken off the dead person's universe ring. There were only 3 6th-level manifestation stage experts in the Blood Cloth sect, and all of them were the sect masters of the Blood Cloth sect. Among them, 1 was out, so there were only 2 left in the sect. But now, 1 had actually died, and he was ambushed within the Blood Cloth sect. Ding! Wei Zhentian broke through. The moment Yi Xian took off his universe ring, the system notified. Currently, Yi Xian was at the 7th level of the manifestation stage. Even Yi Xian didn't expect that there would be so many forging materials in the universe ring of this manifestation stage expert. Yi Xian reckoned that the other party should be in charge of the weapon refining hall, so it wasn't strange for him to have so many forging materials. Although he couldn't break through, Wei Zhentian had risen to the 6th level of the manifestation stage. Coupled with the undying attribute, how could he be afraid of the Blood Cloth sect's old sect master, who was at the 7th level of the manifestation stage? Wei Zhentian, go! Yi Xian directly threw the Skyquake sword in his hand.
In the next moment, the Skyquake sword transformed into a green armored war god and charged towards the Bloodcloth sect's old sect master.
What? The Bloodcloth sect's old sect master was shocked. It was clearly a sword. How could it transform into a person? No matter what you are, die. The Bloodcloth sect's old sect master roared furiously and launched an attack at Wei Zhentian. However, his attack didn't have much effect on Wei Zhentian. It didn't break through his defense? He was shocked once again. He was at the 7th level of the manifestation stage, and his full force attack was enough to heavily injure a 6th level manifestation stage expert. However, he actually couldn't break through Wei Zhentian's defense. It was like seeing a ghost. But fortunately, he didn't use his divine ability just now. 12 blood pillars. Smash him to death. The Bloodcloth sect's old sect master finally used his divine ability. He quickly condensed 12 blood pillars and smashed them towards Wei Zhentian. However, at this moment, Wei Zhentian transformed again and returned to his Skyquake sword form, easily dodging these attacks. Now, it was Yi Xian's time to attack. He directly took out the long sword he obtained earlier and aimed it at the Bloodcloth sect's old sect master, launching a series of attacks like a storm. Heartbreak sword technique. Golden Dragon Catcher Hand. Whether it was the Dragon Catcher Hand or the Heartbreak sword technique, they were both divine abilities that required a large amount of true qi. No one present dared to use them casually like Yi Xian. Yi Xian's battle intent had already been aroused. As long as he killed the Bloodcloth sect's old sect master, he would definitely be able to break through to the 6th level of the manifestation stage. At that time, he would have the ability to face Mo Shui. Let's fight! His violent shout fell into everyone's ears. At this moment, the Bloodcloth sect's disciples and guardians had all surrounded him. In their hearts, the Bloodcloth sect's old sect master was the strongest. However, at this moment, under Yi Xian's violent attacks, he actually seemed to be a little powerless. He was being suppressed. One man and one sword suppressed the strongest person in these disciples' hearts. Master, I'll help you. At this moment, another explosive shout sounded out from the horizon. Another 6th level manifestation stage expert from the Bloodclad sect flashed over. Haha, you came at the right time. Yi Xian laughed loudly and directly changed his target, attacking his opponent. Chapter 11:18. Don't come over. The Bloodcloth sect's old sect leader hurriedly reminded. However, the other party did not listen to his order. Master, let's work together and kill this kid. The 6th level manifestation realm expert shouted loudly. Forget it, let's do our best. The Bloodcloth sect's old sect leader gave up on persuading him. After all, even he was not confident in killing Yi Xian. However, he was too naive. Come over here. As Yi Xian thought in his heart, his attack suddenly weakened and he retreated step by step. It was not that he did not have enough true qi, but that he had some sort of plan. That's right. He wanted to use the Eyes of the Void to kill this 6th level manifestation realm expert who was in his way. However, he did not know if the Bloodcloth sect's old sect leader saw how he killed the enemy. However, he was certain that this Bloodcloth sect expert who had just killed his way over absolutely did not know about the Eyes of the Void. Seeing Yi Xian retreat, the Bloodcloth sect's old sect leader was astonished. What's wrong with this kid? Has his true qi dried up? This was his first thought. However, with his killer's intuition, he felt that Yi Xian was faking it. However, his disciple did not think so. This person thought that Yi Xian was at the end of the line, so he stepped into Yi Xian's trap step by step. At this moment, not good, leave that place. The Bloodcloth sect's old sect leader suddenly thought of something and hastily shouted. What? His disciple was stunned. He turned his head and realized that the words were directed at him. However, it was already too late. Eyes of the Void. Golden Dragon Catcher Hands. Yi Xian swiftly broke through the void and arrived behind the 6th level manifestation realm expert, then fiercely clawed. The opponent was instantly caught by 2 Dragon Catcher Hands. The powerful force squeezed his bones until they cracked. Bang! This person used the power of manifestation to shake, but he did not disperse the 2 Golden Dragon Catcher Hands. One must know that Yi Xian was at the 5th level of the manifestation realm, and he was very close to the 6th level of the manifestation realm. In addition, his soul force was comparable to the 6th level of the manifestation realm and the Eye of Glory's golden true qi.
Unless one was at the 7th level of the manifestation realm, it would be impossible to break through the binding so easily.
Dang! Yi Xian's eyes flickered.
He aimed at the man's head and stabbed out like lightning.
Stop! We can talk this out.
The blood-clad old sect leader panicked and shouted anxiously. However, the sword light had already pierced through the air. The sword beam entered the 6th level of the manifestation realm expert's head and instantly tore it apart.
Another expert had fallen just like that.
Brat, I want you dead. When the sect leader of the Bloodcloth sect saw that his disciple had died, he flew into a rage. He immediately channeled a large amount of true qi and aimed it at Yi Xian as he struck out a palm strike. However, at this moment, Wei Zhentian suddenly transformed into a huge shield.
Bang! Wei Zhentian withstood the palm strike.
There were some cracks on the surface of the shield. From this, one could see how powerful this palm strike was. If Yi Xian had been hit by this palm strike, the brilliant golden armor would have been shattered. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yi Xian quickly rushed over and took the interspatial ring.
Ding!
The host has broken through and is currently at the 6th level of the manifestation realm. The long-awaited system notification finally sounded again. Hearing this, the corners of Yi Xian's mouth curled up slightly as he recalled Wei Zhentian. Although Wei Zhentian was cracked from the attack, it was immediately repaired after being recalled by Yi Xian. This was because it was a Dharma treasure and was undying. 6th level of the manifestation realm?
How is this possible?
The blood-clad sect's old sect leader was shocked again. When Yi Xian was at the 5th level of the manifestation realm, he had already assassinated dozens of elders. Among them were 2 6th level manifestation realm experts from the blood-clad sect. Now that Yi Xian had broken through to the 6th level of the manifestation realm, wouldn't he be able to kill him as well? If I don't kill you, today will be the day of my blood-clad sect's destruction. The blood-clad sect's old sect leader looked at Yi Xian, whose aura had skyrocketed, and suddenly made a difficult decision in his heart.
Scarlet Bloodstorm.
Suddenly, a surge of true qi gushed out and condensed into a blood-colored cloud above the blood-clad sect's old sect leader's head.
This is it? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows.
He had seen this move before when he fought with the blood-clad emperor. It was the Scarlet Bloodstorm that destroyed more than half of Golden Fire City. However, it wasn't Golden Fire City that was beneath his feet, but the blood-clad sect. Was the blood-clad sect's old sect leader planning to destroy the entire blood-clad sect?
I see.
You know you can't defeat me, so you want to sacrifice the lives of others to increase your own strength?
Yi Xian immediately reacted.
If that was the case, then he couldn't let the blood-clad sect's old sect leader succeed.
Wei Zhentian, go and disperse it.
Yi Xian directly threw the sky-quake sword in his hand towards the blood-colored cloud. In the next moment, Wei Zhentian turned into a huge windmill.
Whoosh whoosh whoosh.
A violent wind whistled. The blood-colored cloud above his head was blown away by the violent wind and immediately dispersed.
What the hell is this thing?
No one understood what was going on. Not only could a sword transform into a god of war, but it could also transform into a huge shield. Now, it had transformed into a strange thing and dispersed the blood-colored cloud. This was already beyond everyone's understanding. However, the surrounding people suddenly reacted. As blood-clad sect's disciples, how could they not know what this move was?
Oh no, it's the Scarlet Bloodstorm. Run.
Old sect leader is so ruthless. He actually wants to use our blood as bait to kill the enemy.
Go quickly.
The group of blood-clad sect's disciples immediately dispersed. Back in Golden Fire City, Yi Xian had seen the Scarlet Bloodstorm. However, the blood-clad emperor was only at the 5th level of the manifestation realm at that time. Now, the person who used this move was a 7th level manifestation realm expert. Its power was at least 10 times stronger than before. If this move was successfully executed, the surrounding people would probably be swept in immediately and dismembered by the wind blades.
Kill them.
The blood-clad sect leader immediately shouted. These words were said to the group of 5th level manifestation realm elders in the surroundings. However, he forgot about Yi Xian's methods.
Eye of control. Eye of control. Eye of control.
Yi Xian continuously executed the Eye of Control to control the elders. In the end, none of them made a move, including Mo Shui's father in this life, who was also the current sect leader of the blood-clad sect, Shueli. The blood-clad sect leader was in despair. Now he was isolated and without help. The surrounding disciples had all fled, and the remaining elders were controlled by Yi Xian. What should he do? Could it be that the heavens want my blood-clad sect to perish? The old sect leader wanted to cry but had no tears. Yesterday, when he found out that Shui Yi was a reincarnator, he was almost scared to death. At that time, he felt that the blood-clad sect could finally flourish. But now, Mo Shui had only left the blood-clad sect for less than a day, and the blood-clad sect had suffered such a heavy blow. Most importantly, he probably wouldn't live past today. Chapter 11:19. Brat, if I, Xianxia, don't die, I will kill your entire family. The bloodcloth sect's old sect leader shouted. This time, he did not want to risk his life. He wanted to escape. As long as he could escape and find Mo Shui, he could take revenge. However, was it really that easy to escape from Yi Xian? It's too late to escape now. Help me with everything you have. Yi Xian shouted as well. Then, the group of 5th-level Manifestation Realm sect leaders and elders used their own manifestation strength to support Yi Xian. At this moment, Yi Xian's speed increased by 50% and he caught up with Xianxia in an instant. Die, old man. Yi Xian approached Xianxia and stabbed him with his sword. Get lost. Xianxia gathered his remaining true qi and struck out with his palm again. However, Yi Xian's heart-shattering sword gathered all his true qi at one point and had a strong penetrating power. This kind of attack was specifically used to counter palm techniques. Poof! With a muffled sound, Yi Xian broke through the palm technique and flew towards Xianxia. Rip! The long sword stabbed into Xianxia's left chest and pierced through his heart. Wang! At this moment, Yi Xian's long sword shook and shattered Xianxia's heart. Gulp! Xianxia's eyes widened. Before he died, he reached out his hand and prepared to smash Yi Xian's head. Unfortunately, he could not do it. The bloodcloth sect's old sect leader, Xianxia, died. Rip! Another crisp sound was heard. Yi Xian pulled out the long sword in his hand. This matter had finally come to an end. Survival of the fittest. That Mo Shui will join you soon. Yi Xian's eyes shone as he took the universe ring from the corpse. The #1 person in the bloodcloth sect must have a lot of wealth. However, he was disappointed. So little. Did he use it or hide it? Yi Xian frowned because he saw that Xianxia had even fewer items than his disciple. A 7th-level manifestation realm martial artist wouldn't be so poor. Come here. Immediately, Yi Xian gave orders to the bloodcloth sect's elders and sect leader who were at the 5th level of the manifestation realm. Yi Xian looked through the universe rings of these people one by one, but the items were still pitifully few. Your bloodcloth sect is an assassin faction. How can you be so poor? Where are the things? Yi Xian asked in dissatisfaction. Master, everything has been taken away by Mo Shui. Bloodcloth sect Master Shueli replied. Mo Shui? After his reminder, Yi Xian immediately reacted. It turned out that Mo Shui had taken everything away. However, the current bloodcloth sect was empty. Thus, he naturally wanted to take everything clean. With the help of these elders, Yi Xian emptied the entire bloodcloth sect. At the same time, Wei Zhentian broke through again and reached the 7th level of the manifestation realm. I'm afraid even Mo Shui didn't expect that the moment he left, the bloodcloth sect would be destroyed by me. Yi Xian couldn't help but laugh in his heart. That day, after Mo Shui killed him, he left without looking back. Therefore, in Mo Shui's eyes, Yi Xian was a dead man. However, it was this dead man who destroyed the bloodcloth sect. You guys, follow me back to the Zhao family. Yi Xian said to the 8 5th-level manifestation realm experts. Yes, master. Everyone nodded. Although these 8 people weren't strong and Yi Xian could kill them all by himself, their manifestation realm strength could still give Yi Xian some boost. Mo Shui was a reincarnator and was at least at the rebirth realm in his previous life. Facing such an enemy, Yi Xian didn't dare to relax. Otherwise, why would he hide his trump cards? He didn't use the innumerable swords or the Overlord's limitless sword. He hid his trump cards to deal with Mo Shui. Immediately, he broke through the void and brought the 8 5th-level manifestation realm experts back to the Zhao family. The Zhao family was still as peaceful as when he had left, but they had secretly increased their vigilance by quite a bit.
After Yi Xian brought the 8 experts back, he asked directly in his mind, Luo, did anything happen during this time?
Nothing, young master.
Luo replied through voice transmission.
Oh.
Then, Yi Xian rushed to the spirit spring and gave the treasures to Luo. Then, he rushed to the only 6th level manifestation realm expert in the Zhao family.
What?
6th level manifestation realm? The Zhao family's ancestor, who was overseeing the Zhao family, suddenly opened his eyes. Previously, he was warned that the Zhao family might face a life-and-death crisis, so he was very careful. Now that he felt this aura, his entire body shook, and he immediately rushed out of the house to meet it. This aura didn't belong to Mo Shui, but Yi Xian.
Burning Eye.
Forbidden Eye of Illusion. Yi Xian attacked the Zhao family's ancestor with his eyes from afar. The latter's mind trembled, and he was about to counterattack, but his back was hit hard.
Puh.
The Zhao family's ancestor spat out a mouthful of blood, unable to understand why he was ambushed. He turned around and found that the attackers were actually the 3 5th-level manifestation realm experts from the Zhao family.
Why?
The Zhao family's ancestor couldn't understand, but he understood in the next moment.
Ding.
Control successful. Yi Xian was currently at the 6th level of the manifestation realm, and like the Zhao family's ancestor was directly controlled by Yi Xian under the mental attack and ambush. Gather everything in the Zhao family and give it to me. Yi Xian immediately gave the order to the Zhao family's ancestor. Although the Zhao family's items were no longer attractive, it was still better to increase their strength. After all, they were about to face a colossus. Reincarnator. Mo Shui.
Yes, master.
The Zhao family's ancestor immediately led the other 3 5th-level manifestation realm experts, and ordered them to gather all of the Zhao family's belongings. As long as they successfully killed Mo Shui, then Yi Xian would bring them 10 times, or even 100 times the benefits. Luo still needs 1 or 2 days to break through to the 4th level of the manifestation realm, but this girl said she learned a new move.
I wonder what it is. Yi Xian thought in his heart and hurriedly asked.
Others can use the power of manifestation on your body to increase your speed, but this move of mine can directly increase the strength of your soul.
Luo answered.
Directly increase the strength of my soul? How much can it increase? Yi Xian's eyes lit up. Oh, with young master's current realm, I can increase the strength of your soul by 30%.
Luo answered again.
30% of the strength of the soul. Chapter 11:20. With a 30% increase in soul strength, Yi Xian's Wanxiang strength would increase as well. Not only that, the increase in soul strength would also increase the effects of Burning Eye, Eye of Illusion, and Eye of Control. Yi Xian asked curiously, very good. What's this skill called? Eye of Charm. Isn't this skill supposed to increase the power of charm? Why is it increasing my soul strength? Yi Xian found it very strange. It can be used to charm or increase soul strength, but you need to rest for a while after using it.
Luo explained.
Since it can be used, then you should continue to cultivate. If you can break through before Mo Shui comes, then our chances of winning will be higher.
Yi Xian advised.
Okay. After a while, the entire wealth of the Zhao family fell into Yi Xian's pocket. Although many of the Zhao family members were dissatisfied, after hearing that they would be returned tenfold, they were very willing to hand over the things. These things were all recorded. After Yi Xian killed Mo Shui and completed his revenge mission, he would return them tenfold. 10 times the price wasn't much to Yi Xian. However, killing Mo Shui would allow him to obtain 3 devour points. This was a huge purchase. No matter what, Mo Shui had to die. Before Mo Shui killed his way to the Zhao family, Yi Xian quickly left and prepared to go to the nearest Qian family to take a look. If the Qian family was safe, then Yi Xian would take control of them. If the Qian family was destroyed, then it would be a warning. Yi Xian didn't know much about Mo Shui. He didn't know when Mo Shui would kill his way to the Zhao family, so Yi Xian had to be fully prepared. With Yi Xian's current realm, it would only take him a few hours to reach the Qian family. He only hoped that Mo Shui wouldn't kill his way to the Zhao family in these few hours. It would be best if the Qian family was safe. This way, his chances of winning would be higher. However, things weren't as simple as he thought. Halfway to the Qian family, he suddenly sensed that someone he controlled had died. Luoluo, someone died. What's the situation? Yi Xian asked anxiously. I'm fine. Luoluo hurriedly replied. Yi Xian's brows were tightly furrowed as he carefully sensed for a moment. The person who had just died was a 5th-level manifestation realm expert of the Zhao family. Right now, everyone in the Zhao family at the 4th level of the manifestation realm and above were his and Luoluo's subordinates. This 5th-level manifestation realm expert couldn't have died for no reason. Then, there was only one possibility. Mo Shui. It must be Mo Shui. Yi Xian shuddered and hurriedly tore through the void to return to the Zhao family. However, when he stepped into the void gate, he sensed that a second person had died. Only Mo Shui could kill so many people at such a speed. After all, Mo Shui was also a peerless assassin in his previous life. When Yi Xian returned to the Zhao family, he hurriedly used his eye of perception to sense the situation. His eye of perception and spiritual sense were enough to cover the entire Zhao family. However, he couldn't find any unfamiliar aura. The blood-robed Tianzi was originally at the 5th level of the manifestation realm, so Mo Shui was at least at the 5th level of the manifestation realm, or even the 6th level. However, Yi Xian couldn't find him. What a powerful concealment technique. As expected of a rebirth realm assassin. Yi Xian swallowed his saliva and hurriedly gave orders to everyone. At the same time, he flew into the sky and used his eye of revelation to scan. However, he had just flown up. Xiao! A cold light swept over. Time! Yi Xian widened his eyes and hurriedly dodged to the side. Pooh! With a muffled sound, Yi Xian's chest was directly penetrated. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and didn't hurt his heart. Although his heart was no longer his vital point, the Eye of Eternity was his secret. If he didn't expose this secret, it might save his life at a critical moment, or even turn the tables. The cold light that pierced his chest came from a corner of the Zhao family. The moment Yi Xian was hit, he hurriedly used his eye of revelation to look. As expected, he found a figure in a shadow. If one looked with the naked eye, they definitely wouldn't be able to see it. Even with the eye of perception, they couldn't sense this aura. This figure seemed to be one with the wall. If someone were to stand in front of it, they might not be able to discover it. Why is it you? A familiar voice sounded, and the person in the corner slowly walked out. This person was Mo Shui, a rebirth realm assassin. Just now, he felt Yi Xian's aura, so he directly killed him. However, he didn't expect Yi Xian to avoid him. What he didn't expect was that the person he killed was Yi Xian, whom he thought was dead. Yi Xian was actually still alive? No, impossible. I clearly pierced his heart. They must be twins. Mo Shui couldn't believe that he had failed and hurriedly found an excuse for himself. However, at this moment, Yi Xian spoke. You said that if I didn't die, it would be my ability. Yi Xian looked at Mo Shui and said coldly. It's really you? You didn't die? Mo Shui asked in shock. Who was he? In his previous life, he was a peerless rebirth realm assassin. Ever since he made his debut, he had never failed once. Not even once. However, this time he actually broke the record. Of course I didn't die. Yi Xian coldly replied. Are you joking? The person I killed that day was only at the 4th level of the manifestation realm, and you are already at the 6th level of the manifestation realm. You should be his twin brother, Mo Shui said with a frown as he gripped the spear in his hand. Indeed, even if it was other people, they would probably think so too. Yi Xian was only at the 3rd level of the manifestation realm when he killed the blood-clad emperor. After breaking through to the 4th level of the manifestation realm, he was killed by Mo Shui, who had awakened his inherited memories. In just a few days, he actually broke through from the 4th level of the manifestation realm to the 6th level of the manifestation realm. Even Mo Shui himself couldn't do it. I don't have a twin. That day you failed. I also benefited from the disaster and broke through to the 6th level of the manifestation realm. Yi Xian said. Mo Shui fell silent when he heard this. At this moment, their conversation fell into the ears of the surrounding people. Immediately, this group of people quickly evacuated the area, including the Zhao family. At the same time, the experts also quickly rushed over. I didn't expect that after thousands of years of never failing, I would break the record after reincarnating. My words still count. If I, Mo Shui, want to assassinate someone, I won't do it again if they can survive my attack.
Mo Shui was also someone who had experienced great storms. Only by admitting his mistakes could he become stronger. Chapter 11:21. That won't do. I belong to the Zhao family. I can't just sit by and watch you kill your way into the Zhao family. Yi Xian squinted his eyes. If that's the case, then I have a reason to attack you again. Mo Shui smirked. Although Yi Xian was once his enemy, as an ace assassin, he had to abide by his own rules. However, he still wanted to kill Yi Xian. After all, Yi Xian had helped him break his own record. Now, he finally had a reason to kill Yi Xian. This way, he could avoid having a heart demon in the future. However, just as Yi Xian finished speaking, he noticed that there was a familiar figure amongst the people surrounding him. Shueli. Mo Shui was shocked to see the father of this body's reincarnated body. Master Mo Shui, please stop. We have some connections with the Zhao family. They are willing to take out the key to open the trans-realm teleportation formation. Shueli hurriedly said. Stop. Mo Shui murmured and smiled evilly. Although you are the father of this body of mine, do you think that you can order me around like this? No one can interfere with what I want to do. I can take what I want myself. As soon as he said this, Yi Xian knew that his sneak attack plan would not succeed. Just now, he wanted Shueli to persuade Mo Shui so that he could launch a sneak attack. After all, against such an enemy, it was reasonable to use underhanded methods. But now, it seemed that this plan would not work. Mo Shui was a reincarnator. Only his parents in his previous life were his parents. He did not care about his parents in this life. Even if they all died, it would not matter. However, before Yi Xian could speak, Mo Shui said, Brat, you must have used some method to control them, right? Boom. This sentence gave Yi Xian a fright. An assassin's intuition was terrifying. The blood-clad sect's old master, an experienced assassin, saw through his disguise. Mo Shui was a rebirth realm cultivator, so he could see through it with a single glance. How amazing! Not bad. Yi Xian did not intend to hide it either, because the ambush plan had already failed. What was the point of hiding it? Today, I'm going to destroy the Zhao family. Originally, I wanted to kill them one by one and get back to the feeling. Now that I see you guys gathering here to seek death, I can only send you on your way. Mo Shui revealed a cold smile again. As long as Yi Xian did not attack, then he could let Yi Xian live. After all, he had his own rules. However, if Yi Xian wanted to die, he wouldn't mind taking care of him as well. Although you are a reincarnator, you are only at the 6th level of the manifestation realm. What can you do? Yi Xian had a confident expression on his face, but in Mo Shui's eyes, this was blind confidence. Mo Shui had already broken through to the 6th level of the manifestation realm. Even if his realm was the same as Yi Xian and the Zhao family's ancestor, his strength was not to be underestimated. The atmosphere between the two parties was tense, and a battle could break out at any time. At this moment, the people of the Zhao family had already been evacuated, and the entire Zhao family could be used as a battlefield. Kid, are you sure you want to be my enemy? Mo Shui could not help but ask again. In his eyes, even people of the immortality realm were ants, let alone Yi Xian, a kid who had not even reached the netherworld realm. Truly, a newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. Cut the crap. Attack. Yi Xian did not plan to waste his breath on Mo Shui. Mo Shui was his mission boss. If he did not kill Mo Shui, how could he complete his revenge mission and get the 3 devour points? After receiving Yi Xian's order, the surrounding people all used their manifestation strength on Yi Xian. In an instant, Yi Xian's speed nearly doubled. This battle was between him and Mo Shui. Only he was going to fight Mo Shui, not the others who were going to besiege Mo Shui. Kid, the great Mo Shui, was killed by you. I'm going to feed your corpses to the dogs. Mo Shui was successfully enraged by Yi Xian. He clenched his fists and charged toward Yi Xian. At the same time, Yi Xian activated his Eye of Revelation and scanned the area. Ding! Dark Haste has been successfully copied. Ding! Host has learned Dark Haste. This Mo Shui was a reincarnator, which meant that he had countless divine abilities in his mind. At this moment, the Dark Knight Haste that Yi Xian was charging at was a high-grade Wanxiang level divine ability. As a result, Yi Xian's speed soared again. Mo Shui,
Today is the day you reincarnate. Dang! Yi Xian quickly landed on the ground and used burning eyes and eyes of illusion on Mo Shui. Kid, I'm a reincarnator. Do you think soul attacks will work on me? Mo Shui's cold voice floated over. Indeed, a reincarnator's soul was extremely strong. Although it was not at the peak, it was not something that could be hurt by soul attacks of this level. As soon as he finished speaking, Mo Shui had already arrived in front of Yi Xian like a ghost. He raised his blood-red sword and stabbed it into Yi Xian's heart. Last time he had failed. This time in a face-to-face situation, there was no way he would fail again. Good chance. Mo Shui personally came. This was a great opportunity for Yi Xian because his heart was not a vital part. Even if it was destroyed, it would only cause internal injuries. However, Mo Shui did not know this. Luo Luo! Yi Xian hurriedly shouted in his mind. Luo Luo was already in the crowd. When she heard Yi Xian's order, she quickly used her newly learned eye of enchantment. A pink true qi gushed out and condensed into a pink demonic eye above Luo Luo's head. This pink eye of enchantment was aimed at Yi Xian's back. In the next moment, Yi Xian's soul strength skyrocketed. At the same time, his all-creation strength also increased. What? The Eye of Enchantment. When Mo Shui saw this Eye of Enchantment, his body trembled. He actually gave up on attacking and quickly retreated. This scene was something that even Yi Xian did not expect. Mo Shui was frightened by the Eye of Enchantment and was forced to retreat. However, Yi Xian would not let go of this opportunity. Heartbreaking swordsmanship, die! While Mo Shui was not far away, Yi Xian quickly stabbed his sword into Mo Shui's heart. Do you think you can hurt me with this attack? Mo Shui came back to his senses. Facing Yi Xian's attack, he did not care at all. He directly spread out his all-creation strength and dispersed the attack. Chapter 11:22. Pang! With a muffled sound, Yi Xian's heartbreaking sword technique was defeated. A reincarnator is indeed not that easy to kill. Yi Xian sighed in his heart. His previous attack was merely a test attack. Otherwise, he would have immediately used the Eye of Devastation to kill Mo Shui. But now, Mo Shui's Wanxiang strength was extremely strong, much stronger than Yi Xian's. It would not be easy for Yi Xian to break through his defense. Although the Eye of Devastation is effective, it is also one of my trump cards. I have to use it when I am confident. If it fails, Mo Shui will be on guard. Yi Xian thought in his heart. At the same time, he did not understand why Mo Shui was scared away by the Eye of Enchantment. I didn't expect that there would be a noble fox bloodline here. She even comprehended the Eye of Enchantment. Little fox, are you also a reincarnator? Mo Shui looked at Luo Luo with fear. There were two situations for people who had inherited memories. First, there was an expert in their ancestors. This was the inherited memory passed down by their ancestors. Second, they were a reincarnator, so they had inherited memories. However, Yi Xian knew that Luo Luo was not a reincarnator. After Luo Luo awakened her inherited memories, she did not have memories of her previous life. Why don't you guess? Luo Luo giggled. Humph, so you are not a reincarnator. Mo Shui was sure. The reason why he was so afraid of the Eye of Enchantment was because of this Eye of Enchantment before he reincarnated. In order to avoid being hunted down, he had no choice but to reincarnate. Now, after seeing that Luo Luo could also use the Eye of Enchantment, the hatred from his previous life immediately surged out. He has his eyes on Luo Luo. Yi Xian noticed Mo Shui's soaring killing intent and could not help but tremble. The two of you are already on my kill list. Now I will show you my true strength. When Mo Shui finished speaking, his killing intent skyrocketed once again. This killing intent made everyone present tremble, fear creeping into their hearts. What kind of killing intent was this? How many people did he have to kill to be able to condense such killing intent? Mo Shui was at the 6th level of the manifestation realm. At this moment, even if he did not use his manifestation strength, his killing intent alone could immobilize a person at the 5th level of the manifestation realm. This alone was not something Yi Xian could do. Come. Yi Xian did not care so much and threw the Sky Shocker sword in his hand. And Luo Luo Luo. 10,000 sword. In an instant, the heaven-shaking sword turned into thousands of swords, densely flying towards Mo Shui. but Luo Luo. Mo Shui sneered. His figure flashed as he directly flew towards Yi Xian. As an assassin, he was particular about killing with one strike. Even if he was in an army of 10,000, he could still take the enemy's head. Mo Shui's manifestation strength was extremely powerful due to the high number of people. After being strengthened, his speed surpassed Yi Xian's. One had to know that Yi Xian had the help of other experts. Come! Yi Xian shouted. He immediately transformed into the golden armored war god and stabbed Mo Shui with his sword. Heartbreak sword technique. The cold light brushed past Mo Shui's body. In the blink of an eye, Mo Shui arrived in front of Yi Xian. For an assassin, attacking a vital point was a must. Although Yi Xian wore the brilliant golden armor, Mo Shui was still a peerless assassin. If he could not kill Yi Xian with one strike, then he did not deserve his reputation. Kid, it's time to go. Mo Shui raised his hand and stabbed at Yi Xian's head. At the same time, he used the manifestation strength to bind Yi Xian. In terms of the power of Wan Xiang, Yi Xian wasn't a match at all. Even with the support of Luo Luo's eyes of enchantment, it wouldn't be enough. Gotcha! It easily pierced through the brilliant golden armor, then pierced through Yi Xian's forehead, piercing through it. Last time, Mo Shui thought he missed, but this time, he saw Yi Xian's head being pierced. There was no way he could not die this time. He had seen many people like Yi Xian. They were all newborn calves who were not afraid of tigers. They thought that they could be arrogant because they were geniuses. Most of the missions he had taken were to assassinate these so-called geniuses. He had even killed those with higher realms than him. Compared to these people, Yi Xian was nothing. Therefore, Mo Shui was very calm. It was as if he had just stepped on an insignificant ant. Then, he focused his attention on Luo Luo. The person who had injured him and forced him to reincarnate was not Luo Luo, but he had deep resentment. Therefore, he wanted to kill Luo Luo so that the Fox clan would have one less super genius. However, at this moment, Yi Xian's eyes suddenly flashed twice under the brilliant golden armor. Eye of Nirvana. Eye of Dissection. What? Mo Shui, who was close at hand, trembled, but he was still caught off guard. Fortunately, he had used his all-creation strength and genuine chi to protect himself from the beginning. Bang! The Eye of Nirvana was very powerful. After all, the Heavenly Eye clan had evolved several times. This attack directly broke through Mo Shui's manifestation strength. Then, the Eye of Dissection shot into Mo Shui's right eye. Sizzle! A faint sound was heard. Mo Shui's right eye was rapidly withering. It was being swept away by the chi in his body. In the blink of an eye, Mo Shui's right eye was dissected. The entire eye socket was empty. It was very terrifying. Even Mo Shui did not expect this scene. Why was Yi Xian, who he had already determined to be dead, able to attack again? Why? Mo Shui could not figure it out, but there was no need to. Since Yi Xian could not die even after his head was pierced, then his entire body would explode. How dare you injure my eye? All of you die! Mo Shui roared at the sky. The eye was very important to an assassin. However, he was only at the 6th level of the manifestation realm, so it was easy to repair it. If he was in the rebirth state, losing an eye would require extremely precious heavenly and earthly treasures. That was because his cultivation level was high. When Mo Shui finished speaking, a surge of energy surged in his body, as if it was about to burst out. Feeling this energy, Yi Xian's face became extremely gloomy. At such a close distance, he would probably have to bear all the damage. Even the entire Zhou clan would be destroyed. Myriad swords returned to origin trap. Fortunately, Yi Xian had already controlled the heaven-shaking swords to help. When Mo Shui gathered his energy, the thousands of heaven-shaking swords all enlarged dozens of times and fell down like meteors. Boom! 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 Chapter 1123. Spiritual Sword Formation. Thousands of giant swords surrounded Mo Shui. At the same time, Yi Xian quickly broke through the void and arrived outside the spiritual sword formation. He then put Luo Luo into the demonic space. The moment Luo Luo disappeared, Mo Shui finally exploded. A dangerous aura spread out, followed by an earth-shattering explosion. This was the loudest sound Yi Xian had ever heard. Boom! The spiritual sword formation collapsed. This explosion was like the original, razing the entire Zhao family to the ground. Not only that, but there were also countless lives in the Zhao family. Although they had already started evacuating, there were tens of thousands of people in the Zhao family, so it was impossible for all of them to leave. These people were all blown to pieces by Mo Xue's attack. In addition, all the 5th-level manifestation realm experts were killed, including Mo Xue's father, Xueli. Even Yi Xian himself was seriously injured and spat out blood. At this moment, there were only 3 figures left in this terrifying crater. Mo Xue, Yi Xian, and the 6th-level manifestation realm Zhao family's ancestor. No. If Yi Xian hadn't asked the others to use the manifestation realm strength to help the Zhao family's ancestor resist, he would probably have died. Pfft. Yi Xian couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His face was filled with shock. Mo Xue's attack was too powerful. Even the spiritual sword formation was blown to pieces. If it weren't for the spiritual sword formation, he would have been blown to pieces. At that time, not only would the entire Zhao family be gone, but the destroyed area would at least be 3 times larger. This power was at least 10 times stronger than before. Looking at the pitch-black abyss below his feet, Yi Xian had no intention to fight. Previously, he was only able to fight Mo Xue with the manifestation realm strength support from Luoluo and more than 10 experts. But now the only person he could control was the Zhao family's ancestor, and Wei Zhentian also died from that attack. Fight. What's there to fight? A reincarnator was indeed a reincarnator. Even if they were on the same level, Yi Xian was no match for him. Mo Xue's disintegration was only a result of his carelessness. If they continued to fight, Yi Xian would have no chance of winning. However, just as Yi Xian was in a daze, a voice suddenly rang out. What a tough brat. You didn't die even after that. Fine, let me cut you into 8 pieces. Let's see if you can still survive. Mo Xue said as he dashed out again. Yi Xian was alarmed. He prepared to tear open the void and leave. Could he not do this revenge mission? In the blink of an eye, the old ancestor of the Zhao family was pierced through the heart by Mo Xue. Just as the void gate opened, Mo Xue looked at Yi Xian, whose golden armor was in tatters, and sneered. Brat, I know you have an escape technique. Do you think it will work in front of me? Yi Xian frowned. He found that the void gate, which was not fully opened, had already closed. How was this possible? Mo Xue, was careless once. There won't be a second time. That's why I set up the void lock formation. Let's see how you can escape now. Mo Xue sneered as he slowly approached Yi Xian. Just now, the void lock formation was not fully set up, so the void could still be used. However, now that the void lock formation was fully set up, the void could not even open a small hole. Yi Xian was like a turtle in a jar. He could not escape. Not only that, but he also began to regret coming to find trouble with a reincarnator. Whether it was the explosion or the space lock array, with his eye of revelation, he couldn't see how Mo Xue had used them. A reincarnator was indeed a reincarnator. Although Mo Xue was only at the 6th level of the Wanxiang realm, his strength was at least at the 9th level of the Wanxiang realm. No, Yi Xian would rather deal with someone at the 9th level of the Wanxiang realm than make an enemy out of Mo Xue. Kid, what other moves do you have? Show them to me. Mo Xue looked at Yi Xian with his only eye. His right eye had been disintegrated by Yi Xian's eye of disintegration. The entire eye socket was a terrifying black hole. Yi Xian was in despair. One wrong move, and the whole game was lost. It seemed that his original body and clone were going to die this time. His speed was not as fast as Mo Xue's, and he could not use the void eye. His only trump card was the Overlord's limitless sword. However, even the innumerable swords could not do anything to Mo Xue. What use was the Overlord's limitless sword? Seeing Yi Xian's ashen face, Mo Xue continued. At this point, you can only blame yourself for provoking me. Fine. Let me send you on your way. When Mo Xue finished speaking, Yi Xian quickly turned around and left. As long as he could leave the range of the space lock formation, he would have a chance to level up. Even if he had to split up, he had to escape. Mo Xue did not know that his eyes were his weakness. As long as he split into 2, Mo Xue might think that the other one was a puppet and give up on chasing. This way, he might be able to minimize his losses. You think you can escape from my grasp?
Mo Shui turned into a ray of light and swept towards Yi Xian. Yi Xian's clone had a solemn expression and retreated to the left and right. Puppet. Such a thought flashed through Mo Shui's mind. He carefully sensed and found that the aura of Yi Xian's original body and clone was almost identical. Not bad, quite clever. Although I don't know which one is the original body, I'll just kill them both. Mo Shui did not think further and chased after Yi Xian's original body. In the blink of an eye, he caught up to Yi Xian and stabbed into Yi Xian's throat. Gulp! Yi Xian's throat was pierced and blood spurted out. However, this was not fatal to Yi Xian. Not dead yet? Let's do it again. Mo Shui sneered. His hand turned into a ray of cold light and in the next moment, Yi Xian's head was thrown up. An ordinary person would definitely die if their head was chopped off, but Mo Shui had learned his lesson. He would not stop until he smashed Yi Xian's entire body into pieces. However, at this critical juncture, a voice suddenly rang out. An extremely strong aura suddenly broke into Yi Xian's sensing range. At the same time, Mo Shui also felt this aura. What? Mo Shui's body trembled. He was about to blow up Yi Xian's head when he suddenly stopped and turned around. In the distance, a ray of platinum light entered Mo Shui's eyes. This ray of light was rapidly approaching him. What a strong aura! Mo Shui was shocked. While he was still in shock, this ray of light had already swept past his light. Yo, young man, you're in big trouble again? A childish voice entered Yi Xian's ears. This voice was familiar to Yi Xian, and it was extremely familiar to him. Chapter 1124. It's you. Yi Xian suddenly saw hope and couldn't help but exclaim. The newcomer turned out to be the mini sky dragon that he had met in the land of the dead a few days ago. You're still alive. Mo Shui turned his head to look at Yi Xian's flying head and raised his hand, ready to smash it into pieces. But at this moment, whoosh! A platinum light flashed and Mo Shui's body trembled. He looked down at his chest and found that it was empty. The golden light directly blasted a big hole in his chest, and his beating heart was clearly visible. Senior, please spare my life. Mo Shui panicked. He knew that the platinum sky dragon in front of him had the strength to kill him instantly. It was not easy for him to reincarnate and awaken, so he couldn't die here. If it weren't for a special reason, I would have killed you already. Now get out of here. The mini sky dragon said coldly. Hearing this, Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. Mo Shui almost killed him, so how could he leave like this? However, he had been saved twice by the mini sky dragon, and the mini sky dragon seemed to be afraid of something, so it let Mo Shui leave. Therefore, he couldn't say anything. Yes, I'll leave now. Mo Shui didn't dare to delay and hurriedly turned around and left. As if his butt was on fire, he disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yi Xian began to repair his body. He looked in the direction where Mo Shui left, and a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He had to kill Mo Shui with his own hands for the revenge mission. Now that Mo Shui had escaped, this mission had to be delayed for a while. However, now that Mo Shui had left, it was uncertain whether he could find Mo Shui again. What if the next time he saw Mo Shui, he was even stronger? After all, Mo Shui was a reincarnator. Therefore, Yi Xian didn't think about it anymore. He turned around and cupped his fists. Senior Dragon, thank you for saving my life. I only heard that there is a trans-realm teleportation array here. I didn't expect you to be here as well. The mini sky dragon didn't expect to see Yi Xian again either. It rushed over and continued. I can't kill that samsara traveler. Otherwise, a powerful expert will descend and I'll be beaten back to my original form. I don't have the ability to fight with such an expert. If that happens, I'll be doomed. Although Yi Xian couldn't understand this, he was lucky enough to survive because of this, so he naturally couldn't ask for too much. Senior Long, you're being too serious. It's all thanks to Senior's help this time. Otherwise, I would have been dead for sure. Yi Xian thanked him again. This mini sky dragon had already saved him twice. He was thinking that if there was a chance in the future, he would definitely repay these two favors. I just happened to pass by. Come, give me some more blood. I've finished all of it. The mini sky dragon extended a small claw. No problem. Without saying anything,
Yi Xian took out a blood bottle from the devouring space and gave it to the mini sky dragon. It had to be said that his luck was really good. If it wasn't for the dragon egg using his blood to hatch, allowing him and the mini sky dragon to have the same kind of bloodline, he would have been miserable. The mini sky dragon held the blood bottle with 2 claws. After drinking a few mouthfuls, it couldn't help but sigh. Not bad, not bad. Your bloodline has improved a lot. Why don't you follow me back to the Life Saint sect? Life Saint sect? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows and said, Senior Dragon, did you establish this sect? No, but even the sect master of the Life Saint sect has to call me senior when he sees me. The mini sky dragon said indifferently. Then where is this Life Saint sect? Yi Xian asked again. Life Saint sect, but it's a little far from here. That little Luli girl actually brought me to the Penglai divine land. I'm going to kill her. At the mention of Fairy Luli, the mini sky dragon bared its fangs and brandished its claws, itching to kill Fairy Luli 100 times. At this time, Yi Xian remembered the mini sky dragon's words just now. The latter seemed to want to go to the Lu Guang sacred land. Then, Senior Dragon, you want to go to the Lu Guang sacred land and then use the Transrealm transmission array to go to the Life Saint sect? Yi Xian asked. Yes, how about it? Do you want to go to the Life Saint sect with me? As long as you follow me, you can break through to a realm you can't even imagine in the future, the mini sky dragon replied. A realm he couldn't even imagine. Although this was very tempting, the distance from the Lu Guang sacred land to the Life Saint sect of the Life Saint sect was very long. However, Yi Xian had more important things to do at the moment, and that was to kill the Yin Yang ancestor and rescue Song Suijing and Adjudicator Song. Therefore it was impossible to follow the mini sky dragon. Senior, I'm sorry, but my wife has been taken away. I can't leave. Yi Xian directly refused. The mini sky dragon was surprised and asked, Oh, who took her? Someone called the Yin Yang ancestor, Yi Xian replied. Have you heard of him, Senior Dragon? Never heard of him. He doesn't sound like a good person. The mini sky dragon shook its head. Yi Xian felt that this was normal. This mini sky dragon was an existence that even the reincarnator Mo Shui was afraid of. At its peak, it must be stronger than the reincarnation state. As for the Yin Yang ancestor, Yi Xian estimated that it should be at the nirvana state or longevity state. The gap was too big, so it was understandable that the mini sky dragon had never heard of him. If Senior Dragon wants to go to the Lu Guang sacred land, I know where the Transrealm transmission array is. Moreover, the Yin Yang ancestor who took my wife is also in the Lu Guang sacred land. At this time, Yi Xian opened his mouth again. Although the 8 great families have sealed the Transrealm transmission array, at least 4 keys were needed to use it. However, with Yi Xian's current realm, he could directly break through the seal and use the Transrealm transmission array. Oh, is that so? That's good. I don't have to look for it myself. The mini sky dragon said and wanted Yi Xian to take it away. Yi Xian paused for a moment. Now that the revenge mission had not been completed, he could not find Mo Shui for a while. Moreover, he could not defeat the latter. Mo Shui was not afraid of him, but the mini sky dragon. Therefore, this revenge mission was unlikely to succeed. Senior Dragon said that we can't kill Mo Shui for the time being, so I'm afraid we can only give up on this mission. Yi Xian sighed in his heart and said, Senior Dragon, I'll take you to the Transrealm transmission array. Okay, let's go. Without saying anything, the mini sky dragon grabbed Yi Xian's shoulder with its little dragon claw. In an instant, the two of them turned into a stream of light and left the sky. Now, it was time for Yi Xian to leave the Penglai sacred land. With the mini sky dragon escorting him, even if Mo Shui had 10 times the courage, he would not dare to trouble Yi Xian. However, Yi Xian forgot that Mo Shui was originally going to the Lu Guang sacred land. Chapter 1125. Yi Xian was in charge of leading the way while the mini sky dragon led the way. At this moment, Yi Xian finally understood how powerful the mini sky dragon was. The mini sky dragon's speed was so fast that even he felt fear. He didn't know how much of a difference there was between him and the mini sky dragon. He estimated that the mini sky dragon was at least at the ethereal opening realm. The mini sky dragon had been beaten back to its original form by Fairy Lu Li. After hatching, it found Yi Xian and scared away the deathly eye. Yi Xian couldn't help but guess what level of ethereal beast the mini sky dragon was. It was terrifying that it was born at the manifestation realm or ethereal opening realm. In less than half an hour, under Yi Xian's guidance, the two finally arrived at the Trans-Realm Teleportation Array. This Trans-Realm Teleportation Array was built in an underground palace. Without Yi Xian's guidance, even the mini Sky Dragon wouldn't have found it so easily. Yi Xian had inquired about the Trans-Realm Teleportation Array before. To teleport to the glazed light sacred ground from this array, it cost 200,000 soul crystals, and that was the price of a single person's ticket. A man and a dragon required 400,000 soul crystals. This wasn't much to the previous Yi Xian. However, in order to fight Mo Shui, he had spent all his savings, so he couldn't afford it. Fortunately, the mini Sky Dragon had a lot of good things, including countless soul crystals, so he didn't have to worry about the teleportation fee. The mini Sky Dragon arrived outside the palace and slashed open the Trans-Realm Teleportation Array's gate with its claws. Yi Xian hurriedly followed in. Then, he saw a strange array that was 100 meters wide. Kid, do you have anything else to do? This teleportation array is one way. If you want to come back, you have to find another teleportation array. The mini Sky Dragon floated to the center of the Trans-Realm Teleportation Array and turned to speak to Yi Xian. The two sacred grounds were very far apart, and this Trans-Realm Teleportation Array was one way. If Yi Xian was teleported to the glazed light sacred ground, it wouldn't be so easy to come back, even with the eyes of the void. It's fine. Yi Xian shook his head. However, there was one regret in his heart, which was that he didn't kill Mo Shui and cause the destruction of the entire Zhao family. Since there's nothing else, let's go. The mini Sky Dragon took out some soul crystals and activated the Trans-Realm Teleportation Array. Hoo. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew in the Trans-Realm Teleportation Array, and the entire Trans-Realm Teleportation Array began to rotate. Yi Xian focused his gaze and realized that the objects around him were beginning to disappear bit by bit. In the end, he could only see the rotating array formation. Above his head was a starry sky. He had no idea where it came from. 10 seconds later, those things reappeared. However, they were no longer the same as before. Instead, they were brand new. He had already left the Penglai Divine Land and arrived at the Lu Guang Divine Land. All right, we're here. The mini Sky Dragon floated over and said, Boy, I have high hopes for you. Are you sure you don't want to be with me? Senior Long, I appreciate your kindness, but I still have a huge grudge to take. Yi Xian refused again. Not bad. You're loyal. The mini Sky Dragon nodded in satisfaction. Then, it stretched out its dragon claw, tore off a piece of platinum scale from its body, and handed it to Yi Xian. This dragon scale is for you. You can find me when you come to the life-sacred land in the future, the mini Sky Dragon said to Yi Xian. Thank you, Senior. Yi Xian received the platinum-colored dragon scale. He knew that this was a keepsake that the mini Sky Dragon had given him. All right, I have to go. When I return to the life-sacred sect and recover my peak strength, I'll definitely find that little girl Lu Li and settle the score. The mini Sky Dragon cursed angrily. Then, it turned into a stream of light and left the teleportation palace, disappearing without a trace. Yi Xian looked at its departing figure and fell into deep thought. He had to plan his next steps carefully. Now that Mo Shui had escaped, and he couldn't kill him, his revenge mission had failed. Moreover, he had already teleported to the Lu Guang Divine Land. Next, he had to look for news of the Yinyang Temple. Right, Mo Shui was a member of the Lu Guang Divine Land in his previous life. He's also coming to the Lu Guang Divine Land. At this time, Yi Xian suddenly remembered this matter. Since Mo Shui was a member of the Lu Guang Divine Land, then Mo Shui might also use the cross-realm teleportation array to teleport to the Lu Guang Divine Land. Let's go quickly. Now that Senior Long has left, if I meet Mo Shui, I'll definitely die without a complete corpse. Yi Xian shuddered. He had just arrived and didn't know anything about the Lu Guang Divine Land. Therefore, after leaving the cross-realm teleportation array, he randomly chose a direction and left. He estimated that the Yinyang Old Ancestor was at least a Nirvana realm expert, or even an Immortality realm expert. Therefore, Yi Xian's current strength was far from enough. However, he still felt that he should gather some information first. He ran wildly in a direction. 10 minutes later, he saw a small city. No, it should be a mountain villa. This mountain villa looked slightly bigger than the Zhao family. After Yi Xian saw it, he immediately rushed over. He had to figure out which part of the Lu Guang divine land he was in and ask if he had heard of the Yinyang temple. However, when he got closer, he realized that something big had happened here. Ah, don't kill me. Spare me, spare me. Shue tu, all of you will die a horrible death. One by one, cries and roars fell into Yi Xian's ears. What's going on? Yi Xian's footsteps paused. He focused his eyes and realized that a battle had broken out in the mountain villa. No, it should be a massacre. Dozens of people rushed into the mountain villa and killed crazily. Even the women and children were not spared. Is it a bandit group? Yi Xian immediately reacted. To be on the safe side, he slowly approached and felt the opponent's realm first. He rushed outside the mountain villa. Using his eye of perception and spiritual sense, he sensed that there were many 6th-level manifestation realm experts in the mountain villa. Some had even reached the 7th level of the manifestation realm, and one of them was even at the 8th level of the manifestation realm. He did not expect that even a bandit group here was stronger than the Blood Cloak sect. It seemed that he had come to a higher level place. Right now, my 10,000 swords return to origin is cooling down, but I still have the tyrannical emperor's infinite sword. Wei Zhentian is at the 7th level of the manifestation realm. Together with the people in the mountain villa, there shouldn't be a problem. Yi Xian thought for a moment, then rushed in with the Skyquake sword. Although he had robbed and robbed before, he would occasionally lend a hand. Of course, the main reason was that his strength was too weak and he needed to improve as soon as possible. He charged in and used his eye of perception to lock onto dozens of people with strong killing intent. Chapter 1126. Heartbreak Sword Technique. Yi Xian approached a 6th-level manifestation realm bandit and directly stabbed with his sword. At the same level, no one could block his attack. In an instant, the sword ray sank into the bandit's back and tore his heart apart. Then, Yi Xian immediately went over and put away the universe ring and corpse. Haha, as expected of a bandit. You're very rich. Yi Xian couldn't help but laugh loudly. This 6th-level manifestation realm bandit had at least 1,000,000 soul crystals worth of items in his universe ring. After he devoured all of these items, his cultivation base improved by a large margin. Then, he quickly rushed out and continued to kill these bandits. These bandits were all bare-chested and only wore a red pauldron. While killing these bandits, Yi Xian also learned that they were called the Bloody Massacre Bandits. The leader was called Bloody Massacre, and he was also the 8th-level manifestation realm expert. This manor was called Hu Manor, and there were only 3 7th-level manifestation realm experts in the manor. The difference in strength between Hu Manor and the Bloody Massacre Bandits was huge. If Yi Xian didn't interfere, the manor would definitely be destroyed. While killing the bandits, Yi Xian also sensed that there were several experts fighting in the distance. They were all 7th-level manifestation realm existences. However, Yi Xian didn't immediately rush over to join the battle. Instead, he killed the 6th-level manifestation realm bandits first. A brawny man fighting in the air in the distance felt something strange and turned his head to look. He discovered that some of his brothers were missing. He diverted some attention to size up and finally found Yi Xian. Second brother, there's a thorn in the side. Go kill him. The brawny man said to a scholarly man. He thought that Yi Xian was a hidden expert in Hu Manor. All right. The scholarly man gripped his long sword tightly and immediately rushed out. Brat, how dare you kill my brothers? You're courting death. The scholarly man swooped down and pointed his long sword at Yi Xian's head. A 7th-level manifestation realm, huh? Perfect, I'll start with you. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. With his strength, he could easily kill the scholarly man, but the leader of the Bloody Slaughter Bandits, Bloody Slaughter, was at the 8th level of the manifestation realm, so he was prepared to control the scholarly man and use him to launch a sneak attack on Bloody Slaughter. Burning Eye. Eye of Illusion. Yi Xian hurriedly used a soul attack. What a fellow. He even knows how to use soul attacks. You're courting death. The scholarly man took 2 steps in the air and arrived in front of Yi Xian, thrusting out his sword again. His long sword had killed many 7th-level manifestation realm martial artists, let alone Yi Xian, who was only at the 6th level of the manifestation realm. However, Yi Xian was no ordinary person. Dragon Capturing Hand. Yi Xian grabbed at the air and directly captured the refined man. Then he punched the refined man in the chest.
Pooh! The scholarly man spat out a mouthful of blood. His soul strength was about the same as Yi Xian's, so he had already failed to kill Yi Xian with that strike. Ding! Control successful. When the system notification sounded, Yi Xian secretly glanced over and realized that bloody slaughter did not look over. Bang! The scholarly man quickly dispersed the dragon-capturing hand and stabbed Yi Xian in the heart. Rip! After a crisp sound, the scholarly man took Yi Xian's universe ring and left. Bloody Slaughter had fought 3 7th-level Manifestation Realm martial artists by himself, and by the time the scholarly man returned, he had already killed the 3 7th-level Manifestation Realm martial artists of the Hu family village. Haha, second brother, you're one step too slow. Bloody Slaughter laughed loudly. Bloody Slaughter was very confident in the scholarly man's strength. It was a piece of cake for him to kill a 6th-level Manifestation Realm martial artist. However, he did not notice that the scholarly man's gaze was slightly off. Big brother, are we still following the old rules? The scholarly man asked while holding his long sword. That's right. Kill them all. Leave no one alive. Xue Tu ordered. The entire Hu family village had a population of several tens of thousands, but Bloody Slaughter was a bloodthirsty person. To him, human lives were not even comparable to a piece of delicious roasted meat. At this moment, Yi Xian had already killed more than 10 people. There were still close to 26th-level Manifestation Realm bandits left. However, he now focused his attention on Bloody Slaughter. As long as he killed Bloody Slaughter, the remaining bandits would not be a problem. He quietly approached Bloody Slaughter. All the bandits he encountered along the way were all controlled by his eye of control. I heard that a spirit spring was discovered under the Hu family village. Second brother, remember not to kill them all. You have to ask for the entrance. Bloody Slaughter suddenly said to the scholarly man. Yes, big brother. The scholarly man nodded in response. When Bloody Slaughter turned around and was about to kill the other bandits of the Hu family village, he immediately made his move. Whoosh! The sound of something breaking through the air rang out as the scholarly man stabbed his sword into Bloody Slaughter's back. What? Bloody Slaughter's reaction was quite fast. He managed to avoid being hit in his vital points, so he did not immediately die. However, what he did not understand was why his sworn brother, who had followed him for more than 10 years, would sneak attack him. Bang! Before Bloody Slaughter could counterattack, the scholarly man channeled a surge of true chi and detonated it in Bloody Slaughter's body. This attack directly injured Bloody Slaughter. Bloody Slaughter was furious. His Manifestation Realm strength surged out and directly forced the long sword out. Then, he waved his large hands at the scholarly man's face. You dare to betray me? You're courting death. One was at the 8th level of the Manifestation Realm, while the other was at the 7th level of the Manifestation Realm. The scholarly man was instantly sent flying by Bloody Slaughter and spat out a mouthful of blood. Bloody Slaughter did not follow up with another attack because he wanted to ask the scholarly man why he did this. However, at this moment, Bloody Slaughter, whose body was in chaos, suddenly felt a heart-wrenching pain. A mental attack. Bloody Slaughter immediately reacted. However, he knew that his second brother would not use this kind of method, so it was naturally someone else. Whoosh! The sound of something breaking through the air entered his ears. He turned his head and saw a long sword shooting towards him from his right. At the same time, a person wearing golden armor flew up into the sky from his left. Insignificant skill. Get lost. Bloody Slaughter roared loudly and fiercely threw a punch at Yi Xian. Blood explosion fist. Golden dragon catcher hand. Yi Xian also grabbed at the air and condensed a large golden hand to block this attack. Yi Xian's strength was considered quite good to be able to block an all-out attack from an expert at the 8th level of the Manifestation Realm with his 6th level of the Manifestation Realm Cultivation base. Now, the leader of the Bloody Slaughter group, Bloody Slaughter, was besieged from 3 sides. Even though his cultivation base was high, it was of no use. Second brother, why did you betray me? Could it be that you want to exchange my head for a reward? Bloody Slaughter looked at the scholarly man who was rushing towards him and could not help but shout. Chapter 11:27. Xue Tu thought that the scholarly man wanted to kill him and bring his head to exchange for a reward. Then, the scholarly man would become the leader and continue to lead the bloody massacre bandits. However, he was wrong. The scholarly man did not answer his question. Instead, he infused Yi Xian's body with the power of 10,000 mammoth.
In an instant, Yi Xian's speed skyrocketed. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Yi Xian attacked Xue Tu as he ran. With the help of the divine tree of life's bloodline, he continuously used his supernatural powers, including the blood explosion fist that Xue Tu had just used. Damn it! What are you doing? Xue Tu was besieged by 3 parties and immediately shouted. These words were naturally said to the group of bandits below. However, he didn't know that when Yi Xian flew high into the sky, he controlled all of the remaining 20 bandits, not leaving a single one behind. These bandits were not only watching from the sidelines, but they were also infusing Yi Xian's body with the power of 10,000 mammoth. In an instant, Yi Xian's speed skyrocketed again. It was a pity that this battle was in the air. If they were on land, Yi Xian's speed would have skyrocketed by 90%. If that was the case, Xue Tu's head would have been chopped off long ago. However, even if the battle was in the air, Xue Tu would not be able to survive for long. Damn it! Xue Tu, am actually going to die in this place. I can't accept this. Xue Tu roared at the sky. After using supernatural powers to block Yi Xian's attacks multiple times, his true qi was already exhausted. Whoosh whoosh. When Yi Xian saw that Xue Tu was at the end of his rope, he once again threw a punch at Xue Tu's blood explosion fist. The shadow of the fist pierced through the air and landed on Xue Tu's body. Immediately, the blood on Xue Tu's body boiled. Then, his entire body exploded into a cloud of blood mist. Countless pieces of flesh scattered in the air, creating a bloody rain. Xue Tu, who was at the 8th level of the manifestation realm, was dead. Yi Xian immediately rushed over and put Xue Tu's interspatial ring and head into his interspatial ring. Not enough for a breakthrough. Just a little more. Yi Xian frowned slightly and immediately ordered the other bandits to hand over the items. Ding! The host has broken through and is currently at the 7th level of the manifestation realm. Ding! Wei Zhentian has broken through. 2 consecutive system notifications caused Yi Xian to be unable to help but smile. At the same time, a thought flashed through his mind. Should we return to the teleportation array and ambush Mo Shui? This plan was not impossible. However, Mo Shui was severely injured by the mini sky dragon, so he had to find a place to heal. Moreover, even though he was a member of the Glazed Light Sacred Land, there was no need for him to return to the Glazed Light Sacred Land so quickly. Perhaps he would first look for materials in the Panglai Sacred Land, then refine the Jade Blood Golden Pill, and then come back after breaking through to the ethereal opening realm. Therefore, the plan to ambush Mo Shui was instantly thrown to the back of Yi Xian's mind. After killing Xue Tu, Yi Xian directly stabbed 20 times and killed all the remaining bandits. Only a refined man at the 7th level of the manifestation realm and another bandit remained. At this moment, the Hu family village was littered with corpses. The number of dead had reached thousands. These bloody slaughter bandit gang members killed without batting an eyelid. After killing their way into the Hu family village, they attacked indiscriminately. Moreover, they used a wide range of abilities. More than half of the entire Hu family village was destroyed. However, compared to the huge crater that Mo Shui created, this was nothing. The spirit spring at the Zhao family village was destroyed by Mo Shui. Just now, Xue Tu said that there is another spirit spring under the Hu family village. It is probably of a higher level than the one at the Zhao family village. Yi Xian's heart moved as he immediately swept his gaze over. There were still many people from the Hu family village around, so he directly controlled a 6th level of the manifestation realm person. Your Hu family village's disaster has been resolved by me, so I won't take advantage of the situation. Just tell me where the entrance to the spirit spring is. Yi Xian said to this Hu family village expert. Master, please follow me. This Hu family village expert directly led Yi Xian to an inconspicuous corner of the Hu family village. The entrance to the spirit spring was actually a well. Very good. You can arrange the matters of the Hu family village yourself. Without another word, Yi Xian brought the scholarly man and another person into the well. This well was a completely different world. The spirit spring was inside, and there was a special formation that controlled the heaven-earth yuan qi in this hole. Yi Xian sensed it and found that although this spirit spring was smaller than the one at the Zhao family village, its quality was twice as high. It's a pity that this spirit spring is formed through the cycle of heaven and earth. Once taken away, it will lose its spirit qi. Yi Xian shook his head helplessly and then released Luo Luo from the physical space. Ah, such abundant heaven-earth Yuan Qi. Luolua's beautiful eyes lit up the moment she appeared. If she cultivated here, it would be twice as good as the one at the Zhao family village. Then, Yi Xian gave the heaven-earth treasure he left behind to Luoluo. I can break through to the 6th level of the manifestation realm in 3 days. Luoluo patted her small chest and said, Good. Then you can cultivate first. Yi Xian nodded satisfactorily. Right now, he was only at the 7th level of the manifestation realm. After 3 days, Luoluo could break through to the 6th level of the manifestation realm. At that time, he could use the Eye of Charm to strengthen his soul. His strength would probably be able to dominate the manifestation realm. In order not to disturb Luoluo, Yi Xian brought the scholarly man to the side. This scholarly man could be considered to have forsaken the darkness for the light, and was controlled by Yi Xian. The latter took him in because he wanted to ask some questions. Have you heard of the Yin Yang Sacred Hall? Yi Xian went straight to the point. No. The scholarly man shook his head without hesitation. As expected, Yi Xian had already expected this answer. The Yin Yang Sacred Hall was at least a Nirvana realm force. The Yin Yang Patriarch was at least at the Nirvana realm, or even the Immortal realm. Any one of his disciples could sweep through countless forces. The scholarly man was only at the 7th level of the manifestation realm, so it was normal that he had not heard of it. Then you stay here and guard Luoluo. If you can't, then kill yourself as an apology. Yi Xian gave the scholarly man an order. Next, he was going to leave the Hu family village and go to the nearby city to get some things. Luoluo couldn't leave, so he could only let this scholarly man guard her. However, he had located her here once. The 3 7th level manifestation realm experts in the Hu family village had all died in battle. The 6th level manifestation realm expert outside had some status in the Hu family village. Now, there were only 3 6th level manifestation realm experts left in the entire Hu family village. In addition, Luoluo was about to break through to the 4th level of the manifestation realm, so there shouldn't be any problems. Even if there was, Luoluo could send a voice transmission to Yi Xian, and the latter would immediately break through the void and rush back. Chapter 11:28. If Mo Shui came to the glazed light sacred ground and saw this bandit, he would not hesitate to kill him. At that time, Yi Xian would know that Mo Shui had come. Soon, Yi Xian left the Hu family village and headed to a nearby main city. With his ability, there were too many ways to level up. Now that he had broken through to the 7th level of the manifestation realm, he had to quickly break through to the 8th level of the manifestation realm. That way, he might be able to complete his revenge mission. However, not long after he left. Yi Xian, who was rushing to the main city, suddenly felt something and could not help but raise his eyebrows. One of the people he controlled had died. It's the second leader of the Bloody Massacre group. Yi Xian's eyes widened. The second leader of the Bloody Massacre group was the scholarly man. Yi Xian asked him to guard the well, but now he was dead. There was no one in the Hu family village who could kill him, so it must be an outsider who killed him. The scholarly man was guarding the well, and now that he was dead, Luoluo might be in danger. Eye of the Void. Without saying anything, Yi Xian immediately broke through the void and directly teleported to Luoluo's side. Coincidentally, someone came down from the well. At the same time, Luoluo had just broken through to the 4th level of the manifestation realm. Young master, why are you back? Luoluo asked with a smile. Someone killed the second leader of the Bloody Massacre group, Yi Xian replied indifferently. At that moment, a person entered his sight. It was a middle-aged man in black with a calm expression. After seeing Yi Xian, he could not help but raise his eyebrows. It's not the Bloody Massacre group? The middle-aged man looked slightly surprised. Who are you? Yi Xian went straight to the point. And who are you? The middle-aged man asked back. The atmosphere suddenly became stiff. Even though the middle-aged man had intentionally suppressed his aura since he'd snuck in, Yi Xian was still able to sense that this man was an expert at the 8th level of the manifestation stage. Could it be the third leader of the Bloody Massacre group? A thought suddenly flashed through Yi Xian's mind. However, if the middle-aged man in front of him was the third leader of the Bloody Massacre group, why did he kill the scholarly man as well? If you want to find Xue Tu, go ask Hu family village. I've already killed Xue Tuesday, Yi Xian was the first to speak. You killed him?
The middle-aged man was very astonished because he felt that Yi Xian was only at the 7th level of the manifestation realm, while Xue Tu was infamous and had killed many martial artists at the same level as him. What ability did Yi Xian have to kill Xue Tu? However, when he thought of the second leader of the Bloody Slaughter Group, he immediately understood that the Bloody Slaughter Group had died from a sneak attack. Is Xue Tu's item with you? The middle-aged man asked again. Why should I answer your question? Yi Xian's heart trembled as he narrowed his eyes. He guessed that the middle-aged man must have taken a fancy to something among Xue Tu's belongings. I originally wanted to spare your life, but you don't know how to cherish it. Since that's the case, then I'll kill you. The middle-aged man didn't say anything else and directly charged at Yi Xian. Logically speaking, it was easy for an 8th-level Manifestation Realm martial artist to deal with a 7th-level Manifestation Realm martial artist. However, when the opponent was Yi Xian, common sense couldn't be followed. If it was before, I would have to be wary. But now that I've broken through, do you think you can kill me? Yi Xian roared furiously in his heart and stretched out both his hands. His left hand formed a claw and his right hand formed a fist. Dragon capturing hand. Blood explosion fist. The middle-aged man originally thought that Yi Xian was easy to bully, but he didn't expect Yi Xian to be able to use 2 divine abilities at the same time. His strength was most likely not to be underestimated. Not only that, but a burning sensation surfaced in his heart. A soul attack. Yi Xian was actually multitasking. He endured the pain and easily avoided the dragon-capturing hand and blood explosion fist. Then, he swept in front of Yi Xian and stabbed out with his sword. But how could he have known that Yi Xian deliberately let him come here? Rip. The long sword pierced Yi Xian's heart. At the same time, Yi Xian threw out another punch. Blood explosion fist. Bang! Yi Xian's punch landed on the middle-aged man's chest. In the next moment, the middle-aged man's blood boiled. Many parts of his body burst open, and blood spurted out. He was indeed very shocked by Yi Xian's strength. If this blood explosion fist was a little stronger, it might have been able to kill him. However, he definitely didn't expect that Yi Xian, whose heart he had pierced, could still reveal a strange smile. I have control. Ding! Control successful. The moment the middle-aged man let down his guard, Yi Xian took advantage of it and controlled him. He became Yi Xian's servant. Who are you? Yi Xian asked as the middle-aged man was controlled. Lu Yu, a bounty hunter. I've been chasing the bloody massacre bandits for half a month. The middle-aged man replied. A bounty hunter, Yi Xian muttered. The bloody massacre bandits were notorious. So many cities had wanted them. These bounty hunters were the ones who accepted these bounty missions. However, Yi Xian didn't think that Lu Yu was simply here to kill bloody massacre. You're not just looking for bloody massacre for the bounty, right? Yi Xian asked again. Yes. I heard that bloody massacre has a treasure map, so I accepted the mission. Lu Yu nodded and replied. Treasure map? What's that? Yi Xian suddenly became interested and couldn't help but ask. At the same time, he quickly searched the devouring space to see if there was a treasure map like Lu Yu said. At this moment, Lu Yu suddenly took out a sheepskin scroll and handed it to Yi Xian. You have one too? Yi Xian was slightly surprised. He took the sheepskin scroll and looked at it, but he couldn't find any clues. Yes. There are a total of 3 sheepskin scrolls. I have one, Bloody Massacre has one, and the last one is in the hands of the Thunderlight City Lord. Lu Yu nodded. Thunderlight City Lord. Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. The city he wanted to go to was called Thunderlight City. I originally wanted to kill Bloody Massacre and bring his head to the Thunderlight City Lord to cooperate with him. Lu Yu continued. I see. Yi Xian finally understood. However, there was still one thing he didn't understand, so he asked, what kind of treasure are these 3 treasure maps for? I'm not very sure either. That's why I want to exchange for a reward from the Thunderlight City Lord or get a position in the City Lord Mansion. Lu Yu shook his head and said. He was only at the 8th level of the manifestation realm, while the Thunderlight City Lord was a top expert in this area. It was said that he had already broken through to the Nether Passage realm, so he wanted to work under the Thunderlight City Lord. Alright, I understand. Chapter 1129. Since the second leader of the Bloody Massacre group had been killed by Lu Yu
Lu Yu would replace him and become Luolua's bodyguard. One was at the 7th level of the manifestation realm, while the other was at the 8th level of the manifestation realm. Yi Xian was relieved. This time, he could go to Thunder Luster City to try his luck. Thunder Luster City was quite a distance away from Hu village. Even if Yi Xian rushed at full speed, it would still take him more than 2 days. Coincidentally, the cooldown of the 10,000 ancestral swords had been restored. This way, he would have the confidence to talk to the city lord of Thunder Luster City. However, after a day, he couldn't help but stop in his tracks. The bandit I sent to the cross-realm transportation array is dead? Yi Xian's eyes widened. With the bandit's speed, it would take him at most an hour to get there from Hu village. Now, a day had already passed. Therefore, the bandit was most likely killed by Mo Shui. After all, not everyone could find the cross-realm transportation array. Not everyone could take out 200,000 spirit crystals. Even more so, not everyone would want to leave their home and come to the glazed light sacred land. Mo Shui, you're finally here? Yi Xian looked in a certain direction and revealed a murderous intent. It had only been 2 days since the mini sky dragon had appeared, but Mo Shui had actually come to the glazed light sacred land. He was really relentless. However, Yi Xian regretted that he didn't know what Mo Shui's current realm was. Back then, Mo Shui was at the 6th level of the manifestation realm. However, he had almost wiped out Yi Xian and his group. Yi Xian had also almost been killed. Yi Xian was at the 7th level of the manifestation realm now, but he still wasn't confident that he could kill Mo Shui. However, as long as he broke through to the 8th or 9th level of the manifestation realm, he might succeed. Although Mo Shui is a reincarnator, the Bloodcloth sect was destroyed by me. His Jade Blood Golden Pill was not refined successfully. As long as I continue to break through, I will have a chance to complete my revenge mission. Yi Xian thought to himself. He quickened his pace and headed towards Thunder Luster City. The Thunderlight City was an unremarkable city in the Glazed Light Holy Land, but it was still several times bigger than the Golden Flame City. After spending more than 2 days, Yi Xian finally arrived at Thunderlight City not long after the cooldown of 10,000 returning swords was over. Immediately, he walked towards the City Lord Mansion. He had the head of the Blood Slaughter Group and the head of the second leader of the Blood Slaughter Group in his interspatial ring, which could be exchanged for 10 million soul crystals. As for the 2 treasure maps, he reckoned that he could exchange them for a decent reward. The reason why Lu Yu knew that the Thunderlight City Lord possessed the 3rd treasure map was because the Thunderlight City Lord had announced it himself. If anyone had the other 2 pieces, they could come to him for cooperation or give him the treasure map. Lu Yu had mentioned before that the reputation of the Thunder Luster City's City Lord was not bad. Therefore, Yi Xian was not worried about anything as he headed straight for the City Lord's mansion. The strength of this Thunder Luster City was very strong. The road was filled with Manifestation Realm experts, and there were quite a number of 6th and 7th level Manifestation Realm experts. Yi Xian did not hold back as he disguised himself and went over to control all the experts below the 7th level of the Manifestation Realm. The Blood Slaughter Bandit Group had a notorious reputation for killing and robbing. Although Yi Xian also robbed, he did not kill. He was considered a bandit with morals. Unfortunately, his eye of control could only control 25 people. Moreover, it was more casual as he did not kill these people. Soon, he found the City Lord's mansion. Who are you? When Yi Xian arrived in front of the City Lord's mansion, a guard stopped him. I am here to complete the bounty mission. Blood Slaughter and his second brother, Zhang Hang. Yi Xian did not say anything as he took out Blood Slaughter's head. Blood Slaughter. When this name entered the ears of these people, it made their hearts tremble. The leader of the City Lord's mansion team was at the 8th level of the Manifestation Realm. He felt that Yi Xian was only at the 7th level of the Manifestation Realm, so how did he kill Blood Slaughter? However, to be able to break through to the 8th level of the Manifestation Realm at such a young age, he might be a genius nurtured by some major force. Quickly, please come in. The leader hurriedly led Yi Xian in. Blood Slaughter was infamous, but he was not the highest on the bounty board. He was only ranked 5th. There were 4 even more terrifying villains ahead of him. These 4 villains were all 9th level of the Manifestation Realm experts. Until now, no one had been able to cut off their heads. At the same time, only those who completed these 4 missions would be able to receive an audience with the City Lord. Therefore, The person who received Yi Xian this time was only the City Lord's mansion's chief steward. Lord Chief Steward, someone completed the bounty mission to kill blood slaughter. The leader of the guards led Yi Xian into the City Lord's mansion and arrived at a large courtyard. When Yi Xian approached the City Lord's mansion, his perception eye had already sensed that there were quite a few experts inside. There were more than 10 at the 8th level of the Wanxiang realm and 3 at the 9th level of the Wanxiang realm. One of the auras was even stronger than the 3 9th level manifestation realm experts combined. Nether Passage Realm. It must be the Thunderlight City's City Lord. At this time, creak. The courtyard's door opened and a grey-clothed old man walked out. He looked at Yi Xian in astonishment and said, "You completed Bloodslaughter's bounty mission?" "Yes." Yi Xian nodded and immediately threw the 2 heads over. The City Lord's mansion's chief steward was also a 9th level manifestation realm expert. He carefully sized up the 2 heads and discovered that they were indeed Bloodslaughter's and his second brother's. "Very good. These 2 fellows have finally been executed." The City Lord's mansion's chief steward nodded in satisfaction and said, "The total reward for those missions is 13 million soul crystals. However, if little brother still has that blood explosion fist that Bloodslaughter comprehended himself, I can purchase it for another 7 million soul crystals." Blood explosion fist? Hearing this, Yi Xian's eyebrows raised. He had already copied down this blood explosion fist with the Eye of Revelation, so he earned another 7 million soul crystals. "I have already memorized this blood explosion fist. I can copy it down without missing a single word." Yi Xian did not say anything and directly took out a pen and paper, starting to copy down the blood explosion fist on the paper. In less than a minute, Yi Xian had copied it down and handed it to the City Lord's mansion's chief steward. As a 9th level manifestation realm expert, the City Lord's mansion's chief steward naturally had the ability to distinguish the authenticity of this blood explosion fist. "All right. 20 million soul crystals. This is little brother's bounty." The City Lord's mansion's chief steward did not waste time and directly took out 20 million soul crystals from his universe ring and handed it to Yi Xian. 20 million soul crystals was an enormous amount even for an 8th level manifestation realm martial artist. However, the losses caused by the bloody butcher bandits were 10 times greater than this amount. Chapter 1130. 20 million soul crystals. Although it is not enough for me to break through, it can greatly increase the strength of my soul. Yi Xian took the items and threw them into the devouring space. He was prepared to exchange all the soul crystals for ores and devour them. This way, Wei Zhentian would be able to break through to the 9th level of the manifestation realm. He might even be able to fight Mo Shui alone. "What is your name, little brother?" the City Lord Manor's chief steward asked curiously. Shui Tu had been wanted for almost a year, but no one had ever completed this mission. Now that Yi Xian, a 7th level manifestation realm martial artist, had completed it, Yi Xian definitely had some ability. "This one is Yi Xian. However, I am from a humble family, so I won't reveal it." Yi Xian replied. "A humble family." The City Lord Manor's chief steward squinted his eyes. This meant that Yi Xian did not have the support of a large faction and had relied on his own experience to reach this level. This kind of person was not bad. Of course, the reason why he chose to believe Yi Xian was because of the latter's resolute expression and the murderous intent that occasionally leaked from his body. This was clearly something that could only be tempered through many battles. "Then, little brother, are you interested in joining my Thunderlight City's City Lord Manor? With your strength, you will definitely be able to obtain a rank 1 consecrator position." The City Lord Manor's chief steward inquired. He was trying to rope in Yi Xian. After all, even the Thunderlight City's City Lord's son was only at the 7th level of the manifestation realm when he was Yi Xian's age. "All right." Yi Xian immediately agreed. After joining the City Lord Manor and contributing 2 treasure maps, not only would he be rewarded, he might even be able to join the expedition team. He would leave after the matter was over. This was his plan. After hearing Yi Xian's reply, the City Lord Manor's chief steward nodded in satisfaction. It seemed that the City Lord Manor would be able to produce another expert in the future. With Yi Xian's aptitude, he could at least break through to the 9th level of the manifestation realm. He might even be able to catch up to the Thunderlight City's City Lord and reach the Nether Passage realm. At this time, "Lord Steward, I heard that the City Lord is looking for 2 treasure maps. I just happen to have obtained 2. Please take a look." Yi Xian suddenly took out 2 treasure maps. One was Lu Yu's, and the other was obtained after killing Shui Tuesday treasure maps. The City Lord Residence's chief steward raised his eyebrows. He had recently collected quite a number of them, but they didn't match the one that the Thunderlight City's City Lord had. He took the 2 treasure maps and looked at them, frowning slightly. There were a total of 3 pieces to this treasure map. If the 3 pieces were not stacked together, he would not be able to see anything. Therefore, he still had to look for the last piece and piece it together to take a look. However, he could tell that the 2 treasure maps that Yi Xian had obtained were the same. As the manager of the City Lord's mansion spoke, he returned the 2 treasure maps to Yi Xian and led the way. Yi Xian nodded and followed him. The Thunderlight City's City Lord had already broken through to the Nether Passage realm and was very powerful. Soon, the City Lord Manor's chief steward brought Yi Xian to the residence of the Thunderlight City's City Lord. City Lord, I have an important matter to report. The City Lord Manor's chief steward shouted from outside. Soon, the door was opened by an all-creation force. Then, a burly middle-aged man walked out, holding a baby girl in his arms. This person was Thunderlight City's City Lord, Lei Guang. He was the one who built Thunderlight City and was also the strongest person in Thunderlight City. Uncle Xie, what's the matter? Lei Guang asked as he played with his little granddaughter. City Lord, this little brother is Yi Xian. He is a newly joined first-grade consecrator. He completed the bounty mission of killing Shui Tuesday, the City Lord Manor's chief steward introduced. Lei Guang raised his eyebrows when he heard the name Shui Tuesday. He looked at Yi Xian in surprise. Not bad, not bad. You are young and promising. Welcome to my City Lord Manor. Thank you, City Lord. Yi Xian hurriedly cupped his fists and said. He then took out the 2 treasure maps and said, City Lord, I have 2 treasure maps here. They might be what you are looking for. Originally, Lei Guang was secretly rejoicing over the addition of a young and promising expert to the City Lord's mansion. Now that he heard this, he couldn't help but use the power of Wanxiang to lift up the little girl in his hand. He personally walked in front of Yi Xian and received the 2 treasure maps. Then, he took out a treasure map from his interspatial ring and compared it to the one on the map. It was a perfect match. What? It actually matched? Lei Guang was extremely shocked. He had recently found dozens of treasure maps, but none of them matched up with this one. Now, the 2 maps given by Yi Xian actually matched. Thousand Tree Sect. It is indeed the treasure map of the Thousand Tree Sect. Lei Guang's eyes lit up. Hearing this, the City Lord Manor's chief steward was also shocked. The Thousand Tree Sect was an ethereal realm force 1,000 years ago. It was 10 times stronger than Thunderlight City. They were good at using their all-creations force to cultivate heaven and earth treasures. The sect was very rich, but they were targeted by someone and the entire sect was destroyed. This treasure map was the ruins of one of the branches of the Thousand Tree Sect. However, no one knew if there was anything good in it. All right, little brother. Where did you get these 2 treasure maps from? Lei Guang asked in surprise. I got one from Bloody Butcher, and I got the other by chance when I was training, Yi Xian answered casually. Lei Guang was not interested in where the treasure maps came from. He pondered for a moment and asked, No matter what, your 2 treasure maps match with mine. What do you want? Soul crystals, heaven and earth treasures, or forging materials are fine, Yi Xian continued to answer. He did not know how much these 2 treasure maps could be exchanged for. I will accept these 2 treasure maps at the price of 20 million soul crystals each. A total of 40 million soul crystals. What do you think? The Thunderlight City Lord was a generous person and gave a good price. After Yi Xian heard this, his eyes lit up. He said, Thank you, City Lord. 40 million soul crystals. Adding the 20 million soul crystals from before, that was a total of 60 million soul crystals. If these items were given to other people, they could at least forge 2 or 3 level 9 Wanxiang realm experts. However, Yi Xian's experience to level up was much higher than normal people. These 60 million soul crystals were only enough for him to break through to level 8 Wanxiang realm. Alright, I have 10 inner demon pills here, which is equivalent to 10 million soul crystals. You will need them in the future. After the Thunderlight City Lord finished speaking, he threw a black bottle to Yi Xian. Inner demon pills? Chapter 1131. At that moment, the Thunderlight City's City Lord went to study the Thousand Tree Sect's treasure map. while the City Lord Manor's chief steward gave the remaining 30 million spirit crystals to Yi Xian. Of the 30 million spirit crystals, 20 million were exchanged by Yi Xian for ores and treasures. After that, Yi Xian stayed in the City Lord Manor. After the City Lord Manor's chief steward left, Yi Xian did not hesitate to devour all the ores and spirit crystals. Ding! The host has broken through. Currently at the 8th level of the manifestation realm. The system notification sounded. Not only that, but Wei Zhentian had also broken through to the 9th level of the manifestation realm, reaching the bottleneck. If Yi Xian did not break through to the ethereal realm, Wei Zhentian would be stuck there forever. My soul strength is much stronger than before. My strength has increased by at least 3 times. Yi Xian's confidence suddenly exploded, and he suddenly had the urge to look for Mo Shui. It had only been 3 days since the battle. Although Mo Shui was a reincarnator, he had just broken through from the 5th level of the manifestation realm to the 6th level of the manifestation realm, so he should not have broken through so quickly. Now, Yi Xian was at the 8th level of the manifestation realm, and with Wei Zhentian, they should have the strength to deal with him. Unfortunately, he did not have any traces of Mo Shui. He did not know which corner of the world Mo Shui was jumping around. If he went out to look for him, it would be a complete waste of time. Anyway, the revenge mission has no time limit. I will leave these 3 devour points for now. My mission now is to break through. Yi Xian did not think about Mo Shui's problem anymore. While the Thunderlight City's city lord was looking for the treasure, Yi Xian returned to the Hu family village to give the top-grade treasures to Luo Luo. Luo Luo was already at the 5th level of the manifestation realm, but compared to Yi Xian, her realm was too far apart, so Yi Xian let her break through first. A day later, Yi Xian felt that it was about time, so he purposely went to look for the City Lord Manor's chief steward to ask some questions. When Steward Xia of the City Lord's Manor saw Yi Xian, he was shocked and said, "Yi Xian, you actually made a breakthrough in a short day?" "Yes. Manager Xia. When I killed Xue Tu that day, I was already on the verge of breaking through. Now that I've obtained a heavenly treasure and refined it, I've broken through the shackles," Yi Xian replied solemnly. "You were able to kill Xue Tu when you were at the 7th level of the manifestation realm. Now that you've broken through to the 8th level of the manifestation realm, your strength is probably comparable to a 9th level manifestation realm martial artist." The City Lord's chief steward narrowed his eyes and said, "You came at the right time. The City Lord has already deciphered the location of the treasure map. Are you interested in joining the exploration team?" "Oh." Yi Xian pretended to be surprised and said, "Thank you very much. I was just looking for a place to test my skills." "All right, then you'll be part of the expedition team. This time, the City Lord's mansion is going all out, with the City Lord leading the team. However, you have to be prepared. This 1,000-tree sex branch is not so easy to break through. Moreover, there might be enemies," said the City Lord's chief steward. "Enemies?" Yi Xian was slightly surprised. He knew that the enemies that the City Lord's chief steward was talking about were not the dangers in the treasure ground, but humans. "That's right. This treasure ground happens to be under Rakshasa City. Our Thunderluster City and Rakshasa City don't have a good relationship, but this treasure ground happens to be under Rakshasa City. Therefore, we have to make contact with Rakshasa City." The City Lord's chief steward nodded. "It's good to have enemies." Hearing that, Yi Xian thought to himself, only then could he level up. The expedition team will depart tomorrow. We will first join forces with the 3 big families of Thunderluster City to head to Rakshasa City. Then, we will discuss the details with the other party. The City Lord's chief steward continued. "Understood." Yi Xian nodded. Then, he left immediately. In Thunderluster City, other than the City Lord's chief steward, there were 3 big families. These 3 families all had level 9 Wanxiang realm experts. This trip to the 1,000-tree sect would be quite dangerous. Therefore, at least level 8 Wanxiang realm experts were needed. The total number of people added up was less than 20. Soon, the next day arrived. Yi Xian arrived at a gathering place in the City Lord's chief steward. Currently, there were already many people there. This time, the City Lord's chief steward of Thunderluster City was led by the Ethereal Passage realm expert, Lei Guang's son, Lei Ming, and chief steward Xia. Lei Ming was already at level 9 Wanxiang realm and was not weak. Other than that, there were 3 other level 8 Wanxiang realm consecrators. Including Yi Xian, there were 4 of them. Is he Yi Xian that we just recruited a few days ago? Not bad indeed. He's already at level 8 Wanxiang realm at such a young age. He's much more powerful than us. Indeed. This kid has a strong murderous aura. It's obvious that he has been honed by fighting all the way. He's not like those aristocratic family disciples who rely on refining treasures to level up. Their combat strength is low. I heard that he killed Xue Tu when he was at level 7 Wanxiang realm and obtained a treasure map. He broke through to level 8 Wanxiang realm these few days. His strength is probably not weaker than ours. The 3 consecrators of the city lord's chief steward discussed softly. When Lei Guang saw that Yi Xian had arrived, Yi Xian slashed towards the sky. Immediately after, a figure descended from the sky. It was a purple double-headed flying dragon, Lei Guang's mount. It was a rank 1 level 9 heaven-connecting beast, which corresponded to level 9 Wanxiang realm. Lei Guang led the crowd to receive the experts from the other 3 big families. In Thunder Luster City's Hellion family, a few people leaped into the sky after seeing the double-headed flying dragon fly over. Thank you, City Lord. The leading old man cupped his fists towards Lei Guang. This time, Lei Guang had taken the initiative to invite the 3 big families to work together and didn't accept a single cent. This Lei Guang was considered pretty good among the experts that Yi Xian had seen. Very quickly, the 3 big families all climbed onto the back of the double-headed flying dragon. Each of the 3 big families had a level 9 Wanxiang realm expert and 2 level 8 Wanxiang realm experts. In total, Thunder Luster City had 1 Nether Passage realm expert, 4 level 9 Wanxiang realm experts, and 10 level 8 Wanxiang realm experts. Soon after, the double-headed flying dragon flew towards Luosha City. Presumably, the city lord of Luosha City wouldn't know that the precious tree sect branch from 1,000 years ago was right under their feet. Luosha City was quite a distance away from Thunder Luster City, but the double-headed flying dragon was extremely fast. They arrived at Luosha City in a short 2 days. They entered Luosha City first, but with so many experts entering together, they would definitely attract the attention of the city guarding general. However, this didn't matter. After all, Lei Guang had originally wanted to discuss matters with the city lord of Luosha City. With such a large group of experts hurrying towards the city lord's residence, they would soon arrive. But at this moment, the city lord of Luosha City had already personally come out to welcome them. He had received news that a large group of experts was heading towards the city lord's residence. Lei Guang, what are you doing in my Luosha City? Chapter 1132. Rakshasa City and Lei Guang City were both built by Rakshasa and Lei Guang personally. Moreover, they were both named after them, so they were quite similar. However, it was just their names. It was already a miracle that they did not start a fight when they met. Rakshasa, I have a business here that I would like to discuss with you. Lei Guang went straight to the point. Business? Is there a need to bring so many people to discuss business? Rakshasa said fearfully. Although the rumors said that Lei Guang had a good character, what if he was just pretending? Because I know that you will definitely agree to this business. If you are interested, come up. Lei Guang said confidently and flew into the sky. Hearing this, Rakshasa hesitated for a while before following him. He was also an ethereal realm elite. Although he had never fought with Lei Guang before, he was confident that he could win against Lei Guang if they were on the same level. When the 2 of them flew into the sky, Lei Guang said softly, Rakshasa, I have a map here. It's the ruins of the Thousand Tree Sect 1,000 years ago. Are you interested? Thousand Tree Sect? Rakshasa had heard of this force before, but he doubted Lei Guang's words. That's right. Thousand Tree Sect. This is the treasure map. I spent 2 years to collect it. I brought people here this time to prepare for an adventure. If you are interested, we can work together. Lei Guang went straight to the point. Work together? He's actually looking for me to work together? Rakshasa was surprised. Since City Master Lei has such intentions, why don't you state your conditions first? 100 million soul crystals. Lei Guang replied without thinking. This price was actually quite reasonable. After all, he spent 40 million soul crystals to buy the 2 treasure maps from Yi Xian. Together with his own map, it would be 60 million. Now, he only offered 100 million soul crystals, which was already very fair. This should not be a problem for the city master of Rakshasa City.
The city master of Rakshasa City was still doubtful. However, if it was really the ruins of the Thousand Tree Sect, even if it was just a branch, it was definitely worth the soul crystals.
All right, I'll believe you this time. Here are 100 inner demon pills.
The city master of Rakshasa City took out a bag from his yin and yang ring and threw it over.
Wow, you actually have so many inner demon pills. Lei Guang's eyes lit up.
Previously, he had given Yi Xian 10 inner devil pills in exchange for 10 million soul crystals. That was because he had obtained the other 2 pieces of the treasure map, so he was very happy. Otherwise, he would not have given the inner devil pills to Yi Xian.
Now, you can tell me the location of the Thousand Tree Sect's branch ruins. If you lie to me, don't even think about leaving Rakshasa City today.
The Rakshasa City Lord said with a gloomy expression.
Everyone knows my character. Take a look at these 3 treasure maps.
Lei Guang didn't say anything else and directly tossed the treasure maps to Chu Feng. Luo Sha took a look at it, but he could only decipher the words Thousand Tree Sect. As for the specific location, he did not quite understand. I also spent 1,000 years searching for information before I was able to decipher the treasure map. Since you and I are cooperating this time, I will tell you directly. Lei Guang paused and said, "This is the ruins of the Thousand Tree Sect.
It's right below your Rakshasa City.
The difference is less than 100,000 kilometers. 100,000 kilometers was considered very long on Earth. After all, the equator was only 40,000 kilometers. However, 100,000 kilometers in this world could be covered in 10 minutes for someone of Lei Guang's level."
What?
It's right under my Rakshasa City's territory?
Luo Sha was shocked. At this moment, he realized that he had been tricked.
No wonder Lei Guang brought so many people over.
It was right under his feet.
However, if he did not make this deal with Lei Guang, he would not have known. When the time came, Lei Guang could search for it himself. All in all, these 100 inner devil pills were worth it as long as Lei Guang did not lie to him. All right, since that's the case, I'll send people to start digging immediately. Luo Sha squinted his eyes and quickly returned to Rakshasa City. He asked people to decipher the treasure maps while he asked people to search everywhere. At the same time, Yi Xian and the rest were not idling around. They were also searching everywhere. Yi Xian, who had the transformer Wei Zhentian, searched at an explosive speed. Even Lei Guang might not be as fast as Wei Zhentian. Half a day later. "Found it, I found it." A martial artist bellowed at the sky as he continued to attack the sky. Very quickly, the surrounding people gathered over.
Yi Xian was the same.
The person who sent the signal was a level 8 Wanxiang realm expert from Thunderlight City. When he saw Lei Guang coming over, he immediately said, "City Master, I found a formation below but I can't break it."
"All right, the Thousand Tree Sect's branch faces east. Continue searching."
Lei Guang nodded in satisfaction.
Another half a day passed.
"Father, we found the entrance." A young man shouted. He was Lei Guang's son, Lei Long, who was at level 9 Wanxiang realm. Then, Thunderlight City and Rakshasa City gathered their men. The 2 ethereal realm experts met again.
"It's really below.
City Master Lei, when are we going down?" Luo Sha asked in surprise. "When City Master Luo Sha is done with the gathering, we can set off." Lei Guang replied.
"All right, 10 minutes is enough."
Luo Sha did not say anything else. He immediately returned to Rakshasa City and started gathering the experts in Rakshasa City. If they were to really compare, Rakshasa City was stronger than Thunderlight City. This was because there were 4 big families, and each of them had a level 9 Wanxiang realm expert. However, Lei Guang and Luo Sha were the same. They were confident that they could win against each other. Soon, Luo Sha gathered a group of experts. They had a few more experts than Thunderlight City. "City Master Lei, I'll say this first. I've already paid 100 inner demon pills. We'll split the rest equally." Luo Sha said. "All right, we'll split equally." Lei Guang agreed immediately. Both parties were similar in strength, so splitting equally was the best. A win-win situation could only last a long time. After all, the Thousand Tree Sect was more than 10 times stronger than the 2 cities. Even if it was a branch, they could not be underestimated. Both parties reorganized their teams. Then, they expanded the entrance and went down together. Yi Xian mixed in with Thunderlight City's team. He was secretly laughing in his heart. In the previous day's search, he had controlled a few Rakshasa city martial artists. They were all at level 8 Wanxiang realm. His eye of control was undetectable. No one knew that 6 of them were already his servants. His strength was second only to the 2 city masters in these 2 teams. When the time came, even if Rakshasa city betrayed him, Thunderlight city would not be afraid. The strength of all creations was a very special energy. It could move mountains and fill seas. What was even more amazing was that it could grow plants and use them to attack. The disciples of the Thousand Tree sect all cultivated a martial art called the Withered Wood technique. Hence, the strength of all creations could be used to plant treasures. It could even be used to refine strange creatures such as tree demons for protection and battle. These tree demons might not necessarily die even after 1,000 years. Hence, in this operation, everyone had to pay attention to these tree demons. Chapter 1133. Very quickly, Thunderlight City and Rakshasa City arrived at the entrance of the Thousand Tree sect. The entrance was already blocked by densely packed plants. These plants were very tough. Even a level 9 Wanxiang realm martial artist would find it hard to leave a mark on them. The Thousand Tree sect requires a special entrance method to enter. Otherwise, the plants at the entrance will attack us. After the Thunderlight City Lord finished speaking, he made a few hand seals, and a strange Wanxiang force passed through. Then, the plants at the entrance started retracting their vines, revealing a path. Thunderlight City Lord, you've really put in a lot of effort, Rakshasa City Lord said in surprise. Of course, it took me half a year to find this entry-level incantation. Lei Guang grinned. Although the treasure location was only pieced together a few days ago, Thunderlight had already guessed that the map belonged to the Thousand Tree sect. Hence, he had already started collecting clues. Since the entrance was open, everyone continued on their way. However, ever since they came down they were extremely alert. After all, with their strength, if it was 1,000 years ago, they might not even be able to beat the outer sect disciples of the Thousand Tree sect. They followed the entrance and walked straight for a while. Then they arrived at a strange place. In front of them, there were countless tree holes. They were densely packed like a beehive that had been enlarged countless times. Thunderlight City Lord, what is this? Rakshasa City Lord looked at the countless tree holes that were surrounded by countless vines and could not help but ask. This is called the Lost Forest. It's a place that the Thousand Tree sect uses to defend against foreign invaders. This Lost Forest is crisscrossed. After entering, one's spiritual sense will be greatly reduced. It's extremely easy to get lost in here. Thunderlight explained. Simply put, it's a huge maze. Rakshasa City Lord squinted his eyes. A maze was nothing. They had plenty of time. However, what if there was danger in the Lost Forest? Father, what do we do next? Thunderlight asked. I have no idea. We can only solve it slowly. Thunderlight shook his head. Rakshasa City Lord snorted. Thunderlight City Lord, do you really have no idea or are you pretending? What do you mean by that? Thunderlight said unhappily. Lei Guang, you've specially gathered information about the Thousand Tree sect. Don't tell me you don't know how to solve this lost forest? Rakshasa City Master narrowed his eyes and asked. Lei Guang retorted. I do have some understanding of the Thousand Tree sect, but this lost forest can only be solved by the disciples and elders of the Thousand Tree sect. Even if the people from the Thousand Tree sect came, they might not leave. Furthermore, the Thousand Tree sect has been destroyed for thousands of years. Where am I going to find a solution? The city lord of Luosha City raised an eyebrow when he heard that. Previously, he had suspected that Lei Guang had a route through the lost forest. However, after listening to Lei Guang's explanation, he felt that it made sense. The Lost Forest was used to defend against foreign things to prevent outsiders from sneaking into the Thousand Tree sect. Moreover, the branch sect and the main sect might not be the same. Even if the main sect leader of the Thousand Tree sect came, he might not leave. If that's the case, let's each send a few people in to investigate. The Rakshasa City's city lord suggested. All right. Lei Guang immediately agreed. Not only were there no benefits in the Lost Forest, there was also the possibility of danger. Therefore, exploring the Lost Forest was a strenuous and unrewarding task. Therefore, not many people wanted to go. However, to prove Lei Guang's innocence, Lei Long took the initiative and said, Father, I'll go. All right, be careful.
Lei Guang nodded. As for the Rakshasa city side, they also sent a level 9 Wanxiang realm expert in. Lei Guang and Rakshasa were both ethereal realm experts. The two of them could not be sent out. After all, what if someone had evil thoughts and suddenly turned back to kill the others? Therefore they could only let others explore the path. Lei Long and the Rakshasa city level 9 Wanxiang realm expert randomly found 2 tree holes and entered the lost forest. After a while, there was a rumbling sound coming from inside. There is indeed danger inside, but it doesn't seem to be very big, Lei Guang muttered. The sound came and went, which meant that Lei Long was not in danger yet. About half an hour later, Lei Long walked out of the tree hole. Lei Long, how is it? Lei Guang asked. Father, there is indeed danger inside. It's the branches of some tree demons. However, after thousands of years, these tree demons are extremely weak and pose no threat to me. We can all enter, Lei Long reported. When everyone heard that, they heaved a sigh of relief. Although this was a branch of the Thousand Tree sect, it was several times stronger than Thunderlight City and Rakshasa City combined. If it was at its peak, any random tree demon would be stronger than Rakshasa and Lei Guang. Luckily, this Thousand Tree sect had been destroyed for thousands of years. However, this Lei Long was from Thunderlight City, so the Rakshasa City side did not believe it. After more than 10 minutes, the Rakshasa City expert who went to explore returned. City Master, there is danger inside, but it won't be a problem. The level 9 Wanxiang realm expert said. All right. The Rakshasa City's City Master nodded. He turned and said, Lei Guang, since this is the case, why don't we go our separate ways? This way, we won't have to split the things we get. Rakshasa, you mean that if we go our separate ways, whether we get the good stuff will depend on our luck? Lei Guang asked. That's right. Our cooperation ends here. The rest will depend on our own abilities. Rakshasa nodded. All right. Lei Guang agreed. The news that Lei Long brought back made him heave a sigh of relief. He originally thought that he would not be able to pass through this lost forest with his own strength. However, he did not expect that the tree demon's strength would be greatly reduced. As long as they were given some time, they would be able to pass through this lost forest. Anyway, this ruin did not have a time limit. They had plenty of time. Now, it would depend on the efficiency of both parties. Whoever passed through this lost forest first would be able to get the treasures first. At that moment, both parties randomly found 2 tree holes and went in. Previously, they had marked all the tree holes in an attempt to pass through the lost forest. Unfortunately, this lost forest was not so easy to pass through. Xianxia followed Thunderlight City's team and entered the tree holes to explore. After entering, he did feel that the range of his spiritual awareness had shrunk. However, the range of his eye of perception did not shrink. This meant that he was more powerful than Lei Guang in this lost forest. Let's mix in first. When the time comes, we will find a chance to leave and act on our own. Xianxia thought in his heart. He had the eye of perception, so his efficiency was faster than Lei Guang's team. As long as he was the first to pass through the lost forest, then the treasures would be his. At that time, he could at least break through to the level 9 Wanxiang realm or even the Nether Passage realm. However, what he did not know was... Chapter 1134. After a while, the third team entered the Thousand Tree sect ruins. There were a total of 6 people in this third team, all of whom were dressed in night clothes. Their strength varied. Some were in the 7th level of the manifestation realm, while others were in the ethereal realm. Big brother, you're here. Luo Sha said to the middle-aged man leading the team. This middle-aged man was the ethereal realm elite in this team. At the same time, he was Luo Sha's twin brother, Luo Sha. Little brother, has the team from Thunder Luster City entered? Luo Sha took off his scarf and asked. Yes. With Big Brother's help this time, the treasures of the Thousand Tree sect will definitely be ours. Not only that, but the entire Thunder Luster City. Luo Sha nodded. This time his luck was pretty good. His brother happened to be passing by Luo Sha City, so he called him along. This time, I even brought a few experts from the underworld. Thunder Luster will definitely die this time. Luo Sha's eyes suddenly revealed a murderous glint. The underworld was an assassin organization that spread all over the world. Luo Sha was one of the assassins in the underworld. With Big Brother's help, there will definitely be no problem. Luo Sha also revealed a confident smile.
However, at this time, he suddenly felt that the strength of the person behind Luo Sha was too weak. He asked, "Big brother, why is there another 7th level manifestation realm?" Luo Sha's team had a total of 6 people. Excluding Luo Sha, there were 4 9th level manifestation realm elites. However, the last one was only at the 7th level, which made Luo Sha feel very strange. Don't underestimate him. He's the newest assassin in the underworld. He's very strong. Even if he's only at the 7th level of the manifestation realm, he can defeat the 2 9th level manifestation realm elites behind you. Luo Sha smiled slightly. What? Luo Sha was shocked. A 7th level manifestation realm elite could defeat a 9th level manifestation realm elite? Was this a joke? When the 2 consecrators behind Luo Sha heard this, they were extremely displeased. After all, they were being looked down upon. However, the one who said this was the Luo Sha city's mayor's brother, Luo Sha. He was ethereal realm elite, so they could not say anything. However, if Yi Xian was present, he would definitely be shocked. This was because the genius Luo Sha was the target of his revenge mission, Mo Shui. At the same time, Mo Shui did not know that Yi Xian had entered. Although he was a reincarnator, he had no cultivation resources and his cultivation speed was slow. Although his mind was filled with so many cultivation methods and divine abilities, if his realm was not high enough, he would not be able to cultivate them. Since the 2 sides had met up, the next step was to carry out the cleanup plan. The assassins from Rakshasa City and Underworld Palace joined forces and entered the tree hole in Thunder Luster City. The Lost Forest was crisscrossing, and inside it was a huge maze. Therefore, the other families in Rakshasa City had already split up. Not only that, the Thunder Luster City was also doing the same. The team from Thunder Luster City was completely unaware that they had already been targeted by a group of well-trained killers. At this moment, somewhere in the Lost Forest. Father, this place is really too complicated. My map has overlapped with each other. Lei Long could not help but ask. As for the other 3 great clans, they had already spread out and were exploring on their own. This way they would be more efficient. If they happened to be able to make it out, it would be their own ability. Yi Xian belonged to the City Lord Manor, and he had been walking in the middle, so he had no chance to leave. However, he had the eye of perception, which would automatically draw a map of the place he scanned. He was very confident that he could make it out of the Lost Forest within an hour. It's too complicated. I have spent so much time, but I still haven't found a way to break the law of the Lost Forest. However, we have plenty of time. Perhaps we can make it out after wandering around a bit more. Lei Guang said. However, this team of theirs had 7 people. Lei Guang, Lei Long, Manager Xia, and Yi Xian, the 4 8th level manifestation realm martial artists. It was a bit of a waste for 7 people to walk the same path. City Lord, why don't we split up? One of the 8th level manifestation realm consecrators suggested. That's right. Although the 7 of us moving together is safer, the efficiency is too slow. If Rakshasa City were to make it out first, the items would be in their pockets. Another person agreed. Lei Guang paused and nodded. That's fine. Let's split up into 4 teams. Everyone looked at each other. 7 people, 3 teams. It was possible to split up. Lei Guang was in the Nether Passage realm, so he alone was enough. Lei Long and Manager Xie were in the 9th level of the manifestation realm. If the 2 of them worked together, they might not be able to defeat Rakshasa City, but they could delay them for a while. As for Yi Xian's group of 4, they were all in the 4th level of the manifestation realm. They would be fine as long as they formed a team of 2. Although they might have to bring along a burden, this was exactly what Yi Xian wanted. Don't forget, he still had the eye of control. Little brother Yi, please advise us. A consecrator of the City Lord's estate cupped his fists towards Yi Xian. He had been assigned to be with Yi Xian. Please advise us. Yi Xian also cupped his fists. Then, the City Lord's estate group split up into 4 groups and left. Yi Xian led this consecrator into another tree hole. However, they hadn't walked for long. Eye of control. Yi Xian suddenly turned his head, his eyes flashing. Ding. Control successful. The system notified. This 8th level of the manifestation realm consecrator was caught off guard by Yi Xian. Yi Xian took off his universe ring without another word. Unfortunately,
This person naturally wouldn't bring too many things with him when he came out for training. Master, let me lead the way. This 8th level of the Manifestation Realm Consecrator suggested. No need. I won't use you as cannon fodder. Find a fork in the road yourself. I'll move on my own. Yi Xian directly shook his head. This person was still a consecrator of the city lord's estate. He only controlled this person because he wanted to move on his own. Yes. This consecrator nodded and then left by himself. Then, it was time for Yi Xian to show off his skills. With the eye of perception, he had already recorded the places he walked and scanned. He knew which paths were connected and which paths led to the front. Previously, he had actually sensed other people, but because he was moving with Lei Guang and the others, he couldn't make a move. Now, if he encountered someone else, he wouldn't hold back anymore. However, not long after he moved on his own. What? Someone died? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. He was shocked. He sensed that when he was searching for the entrance to the Thousand Tree Sect ruins, one of the Rakshasa city martial artists he controlled had died. Who killed this person? Was it another family clan in Rakshasa city, the city lord's estate, or someone from Lei Guang city? He couldn't figure it out. However, before he came down, he controlled 8th level of the Manifestation Realm martial artists. Now that one was dead. He controlled another one just now, so there were still 6 of them. However, not long after he left, he sensed that another person had died. Chapter 1135. Ever since we entered the Lost Forest, the sounds have been incessant. After all, there are still tree demons blocking the way. Were they killed by humans or stabbed by tree demons? Yi Xian was very puzzled. At this time, a sharp vine suddenly shot towards him. With his eye of perception, he noticed the vines when they were growing wildly. Rip! This vine was easily cut off by Yi Xian. The defense of the tree demons in the Lost Forest would be weaker than the vines on the road, so he could cut them down. However, the vines around the road were very tough. Even the 2 Nether Passage realm experts, Lei Guang and Rakshasa, might not be able to cut them off. Whatever. Let's continue forward. Finding the treasure is the most important thing. Yi Xian did not think too much and continued forward. He did not give orders to the others anyway, so they could not blame him for their deaths. However, he didn't walk for long before he discovered a corpse in another passageway. Out of curiosity, he also rushed over. The dead person was a martial practitioner from Rakshasa city. He was actually stabbed in the heart and died. Yi Xian looked at the corpse with a slightly surprised expression. He felt that the killer was a bit powerful because the dead person was at the 8th level of the Manifestation Realm. Although the range of the soul was reduced in the Lost Forest, it was not easy to silently kill an 8th level Manifestation Realm martial practitioner. However, when he thought of the 2 Nether Passage realm experts inside, he did not think much of it. However, at this time, suddenly, a figure stepped into his perception range. This was a 9th level Manifestation Realm expert, and Yi Xian was sure that he was not from Thunder Brilliant City. Since that was the case, he might as well kill him first and prevent Rakshasa City from turning on him. Since both sides were no longer cooperating, he might as well strike first and gain the upper hand. Immediately, Yi Xian used the map to circle in front of the enemy and then hid in a corner. This 9th level Manifestation Realm expert was completely unaware of the danger ahead, but he was a well-trained assassin. He would not be careless under any circumstances. He slowly approached while Yi Xian used the eye of perception to monitor his every move. Almost there. Yi Xian closed his eyes and calculated. Right now, Yi Xian was only 100 meters away from this 9th level Manifestation Realm expert. As long as his opponent turned the corner, Yi Xian would be able to attack. Just as he turned the corner, the sound of something breaking through the air suddenly rang out. Swish! A vine stabbed at him. Humph! It's just a piece of 1,000-year-old wood. Break for me! This 9th level Manifestation Realm expert swung the long sword in his hand and easily cut it in half. However, just as this sharp vine fell to the ground, a voice rang out. Huff huff! Another piercing sound rang out. But this time, it wasn't the vines that were attacking. Instead, it was Yi Xian who charged out from around the corner. Heartbreaking swordsmanship. Swish! The sword light pierced through the air, catching this martial artist off guard. However, his reaction was still considered fast, and he directly avoided his vital points. The sword light pierced into his chest, but it didn't hit the left side of his chest. However, the heartbreaking sword technique exploded after it entered his body. Although it didn't tear his heart apart, it still severely injured him. This 9th-level manifestation realm expert didn't expect to be ambushed. If he hadn't faced his opponent directly, he definitely wouldn't have been able to dodge this attack. By the time he saw clearly, Xianxia had already fiercely clawed at him. Dragon Capturing Hand. A giant true energy hand directly grabbed this 9th-level manifestation realm expert. The enormous grip crushed his bones until they creaked. Die for me! Xianxia didn't care who his opponent was and punched out again. This move was Xue Tu's signature move, Blood Explosion Fist. Bang! This 9th-level manifestation realm expert couldn't break free from the dragon capturing hand's restraints and was directly hit in the head by the punch. His head instantly exploded, and brain matter and flesh flew everywhere. Dang! Immediately, Xianxia swiftly swept over and took off his universe ring. There were quite a few good things inside. Just the soul crystals alone were worth 10 million. Adding the other things, the total value was around 30 million soul crystals. It was a little abnormal for a single person to carry so many things. People who came out for training usually wouldn't bring too many things. They would either give them to their family or hide them for themselves. However, the person in front of him actually brought so many things. Wasn't he afraid of losing them all when he died? Or maybe he didn't have any family and thought that if he lost his life, what was the point of keeping these things? But at this moment, what's going on? There are so many poisons and concealed weapons inside. Is this person an assassin? Xianxia glanced at the corpse curiously and noticed that the victim was wearing black tights. Moreover, he recalled that the victim's face before his head was blown apart was very unfamiliar. No, this person isn't from Rakshasa City or Thunderlight City. I haven't seen him before. Xianxia suddenly reacted. Where did a 9th-level manifestation realm expert come from if he wasn't from Rakshasa City or Thunderlight City? When they came down, they had clearly sent people to bury the entrance and even had people guarding outside. Then, could it be that this 9th-level manifestation realm assassin was a passerby and noticed something fishy, so he snuck in? This made sense, but Xianxia felt that things were not so simple. However, the most important thing now was to leave the Lost Forest first. Otherwise, the good things would be snatched away by others. At that moment, he turned around and continued on his way. The other people's spiritual senses were only left with 1/5 after entering the Lost Forest. It was the same for Xianxia. However, his eye of perception was 5 times stronger than his spiritual senses. With this outstanding ability, he walked out of the Lost Forest in less than 10 minutes. The Thousand Tree Sect is indeed quite capable. If I didn't have the eye of perception and my spiritual sense, I wouldn't be able to walk out even if I walked for a day. Xianxia shuddered. If he was trapped in that godforsaken place for a whole day, his head would probably explode. No matter what, he was out now. The Lost Forest was the Thousand Tree Sect's first checkpoint to defend against foreign invaders. After this checkpoint, there was a sea of vines. This sea of vines was originally filled with countless poisonous insects. The Thousand Tree Sect's disciples had to spread some insect repellent on themselves before they could pass through. However, Xianxia did not have such things on him, so he had to go through it himself. Wei Zhentian, transform into a set of armor. Xianxia immediately gave the order to Wei Zhentian. In the next moment, Wei Zhentian transformed into a set of gray armor and enveloped Xianxia completely, including his eyes. Wei Zhentian was a 9th-level manifestation realm expert and an Earth King. His defense was amazing. Even poisonous insects could not break through his defense. Chapter 1136. This Thousand Tree Sect branch was not weak, and there were many ethereal opening elites. Although it had been abandoned for thousands of years, Xianxia did not dare to be careless. He moved at a moderate speed. There might be dangers in this sea of vines. With his level 8 manifestation realm, even with Wei Zhentian, he would fall into an abyss of no return if he was not careful. Luckily, he had positioned himself at the entrance and exit of the Lost Forest. If there was any danger, he would immediately break through the void and leave. The sea of vines was huge, and there was no end in sight. Xianxia walked for half an hour and was still inside. At this moment, whoosh! A sudden gust of wind made Xianxia stop in his tracks. He looked in the direction of the wind and saw a huge black shadow.
It was densely packed, and there were at least 1,000 of them. What the F***ck? What is this? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. As the distance was very far, he could only use the Eye of Revelation to see roughly. The shadow was about the size of a fist and was completely black. This group of black shadows approached quickly, and Yi Xian quickly avoided them. However, this group of ghostly things had their eyes on Yi Xian. F***ck, they have their eyes on me. Yi Xian swallowed his saliva. This group of ghostly things was faster than him. Unless he used the Eye of the Void, he would not be able to avoid them. However, it was not easy for him to come here. If he could not even get past this, he might as well just go home. Eye of Glory. Yi Xian immediately took out the golden armor of glory. Under Wei Zhentian's armor, he clenched his fists and waited quietly. When the group of ghostly things approached, he realized that it was actually a group of mosquitoes. A group of mosquitoes the size of a fist. And there were thousands of them. Seeing this, Yi Xian could not help but shudder. This group of mosquitoes had not yet sucked blood and were already the size of a fist. If they did, wouldn't they be bigger than a head? I don't care what you are. Dang. Yi Xian did not say anything and directly attacked this group of mosquitoes. Blood Explosion Fist. Golden Dragon Capturing Hands. This swarm of mosquitoes flew into Yi Xian's attack range, and Yi Xian's attack swept straight towards them. Bang! Boom! When the Blood Explosion Fist landed on the mosquitoes, it could blow them up, but it could only kill 2 or 3 of them. Due to the large number of giant mosquitoes and their high speed, Yi Xian was immediately surrounded. Fortunately, Wei Zhentian had already transformed into a suit of armor to protect Yi Xian. Clang! 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 These mosquitoes had extremely sharp beaks. A few of them landed on Yi Xian's body and poked him with their beaks, but they were unable to break through Yi Xian's defense. Haha, since you can't break my defense, then all of you can die for me. Yi Xian laughed inwardly. Wei Zhentian was at the 9th level of the manifestation realm. In addition, he had advanced twice, so his defense was indestructible. Although he did not know where this swarm of mosquitoes came from, he estimated that a few of them could suck a person dry. However, if they could not break through his defense, then it was useless no matter how strong they were. There was also an interesting martial art that was specifically used to deal with mosquitoes. Ding! The host has learned the manifestation divine ability, Mosquito Annihilating Palm. Mosquito Annihilating Palm was only a mid-level manifestation realm divine ability, but it was extremely harmful to mosquitoes. It was similar to the Dragon's Judgment of the 8 Desolation Dragon Slaying Sword. In addition to the Eye of Glory, the power of the Mosquito Annihilating Palm would increase again. These strange mosquitoes were large in size and large in number. Yi Xian could not be bothered to tangle with these mosquitoes, so he directly attacked in a frenzy. Huge golden palms struck out, and each palm could send several giant mosquitoes flying. As long as these mosquitoes were hit by the Mosquito Annihilating Palm, they would all die on the spot. In a short 10 seconds, this swarm of thousands of giant mosquitoes had all died in the sea of vines. In these 10 seconds, Yi Xian had struck out at least 100 palms, which meant that he had continuously used his divine ability over 100 times. Even a 9th-level manifestation realm expert would probably have more than half of their true chi depleted after continuously using a mid-level manifestation realm divine ability 10 times. However, Yi Xian was only at the 8th level of the manifestation realm. It was fine even if he struck out 100 palms continuously, because his recovery speed was just right. Fortunately, the Mosquito Annihilating Palm was only a mid-level manifestation realm divine ability. If it was a high-level manifestation realm divine ability, Yi Xian would probably have to spend more time. Even the Thunderlight City Lord and Rakshasa City Lord would find it difficult to deal with so many giant mosquitoes. If it were anyone else, they would most likely die. Yi Xian could not help but think to himself. However, before he continued forward, he still collected the corpses of the giant mosquitoes. Unfortunately, these giant mosquitoes were not heaven-reaching beasts, but mutated beasts. Devouring them would not bring him much benefit. He began to move forward. Not long after, another large swarm of mosquitoes pounced on him. With the Mosquito Annihilating Palm, Yi Xian easily exterminated the swarm of mosquitoes. What the hell is this place? Why are there so many mosquitoes? There's no human or beast blood to suck. How did they survive? Yi Xian could not figure it out,
but he did not think too much about it and continued forward.
Soon, in the first hour after he entered the Sea of Vines, he finally saw the end of the Sea of Vines.
However, right at this moment, whoosh whoosh whoosh, an unprecedented gust of wind blew and entered Yi Xian's ears.
He turned his head to look and saw another swarm of black shadows approaching.
However, this time, it seemed to be much larger than the previous 2 times. It was almost a combination of the 2 times. F***CK. There are so many mosquitoes, and there's no benefit. What's the point of killing them? Yi Xian cursed angrily in his heart.
Only a fool would do such an arduous and thankless task.
However, when this swarm of mosquitoes approached, Yi Xian realized that this swarm of mosquitoes was twice the size of the previous ones. It was not that there were more mosquitoes, but that their bodies were bigger. This time, they might be able to break through Wei Zhentian's defense. Just as Yi Xian was about to break through the void and return to the entrance to rest for a few seconds, he was shocked to find that there was a weirdo in this swarm of giant mosquitoes. It was a green creature mixed in with the swarm of giant mosquitoes. Yi Xian focused his eyes and took a closer look. He found that it was a wood spirit. Wei Zhentian was an earth spirit, a type of exotic beast. There were also fire spirits, water spirits, wood spirits, and so on. At this moment, there was a wood spirit in this swarm of giant mosquitoes. How could a wood spirit control so many giant mosquitoes?
Fine, then I'll clean them all up and capture the wood spirit.
Although he did not understand why, Yi Xian could not be bothered to care so much. He was confident that he could kill half of these giant mosquitoes before they pounced on him.
Mosquito annihilating palm.
Mosquito annihilating palm. Mosquito killing palm. Yi Xian attacked crazily, sending out golden palm prints. However, these mosquitoes were larger than before and would not be killed so easily. Perhaps it was because Yi Xian's realm was too low, or perhaps it was because the mosquito-killing palm was only an intermediate myriad manifestation superpower, so he could not kill this swarm of giant mosquitoes in one hit.
Chapter 1137.
You're just a bunch of mosquitoes.
Let's see what you're capable of.
Yi Xian snorted inwardly. Since one attack wasn't enough, he would try twice. He had 2 hands after all. The swarm of giant mosquitoes was almost as big as a human head. A few mosquitoes approached Yi Xian and poked him with their sharp mouths.
Kacha! Kacha!
With 2 muffled sounds, Wei Zhentian's armor was destroyed, and so was the brilliant golden armor. The mosquitoes' sharp mouths pierced Yi Xian's body and began to suck his blood. Let's see if you suck faster. My tree of life bloodline is more powerful. Yi Xian didn't mind at all. At the same time, he used his sharp mouths to transfer his true qi and manifestation force.
Bam! Bam! Bam!
The giant mosquitoes that were sucking his blood suddenly exploded. With the tree of life bloodline, Yi Xian's speed at producing blood was truly heaven-defying. After all, the reward from the last random mission had allowed him to evolve his tree of life bloodline once. Yi Xian's wounds kept healing, but the giant mosquitoes kept piercing his body and sucking his blood. Therefore, Yi Xian didn't care about anything else. He directly told Wei Zhentian to protect his head with all his might. To be more precise, his eyes. The swarm of giant mosquitoes was smart. The moment Yi Xian removed his defenses, 2 of the giant mosquitoes pierced Yi Xian's heart with their sharp mouths. They thought that this would kill Yi Xian and then suck his blood to their heart's content. But they were wrong, very wrong.
Eye of Nirvana.
Mosquito exterminating palm.
Mosquito exterminating palm.
Yi Xian ignored the giant mosquitoes' attacks and continued to clean them up. At this moment, he was like a perpetual motion machine. He wouldn't die, his true qi wouldn't dry up, and he could continue to fight. The wood spirit in the center of the giant mosquitoes was very surprised. After realizing that things weren't going well, it turned around and left.
What a guy!
Your balls have been exposed and you still want to run? Yi Xian shouted angrily. From the very beginning, his attention had been on this wood spirit. This wood spirit was really too strange. It could actually control these giant mosquitoes. If he could control this wood spirit, he might be able to control a tiger to devour a wolf and destroy the entire Rakshasa city team. However, this wood spirit was an exotic beast, not a heavenly beast. Yi Xian's eye of control had no effect on it. You mosquitoes! Get out of my way! Yi Xian immediately used his trump card and summoned a long sword.
In the blink of an eye, A gigantic golden sword that was dozens of meters long was formed. Tyrannical Emperor's limitless sword. Shake. The gigantic golden sword descended, and the 1,000 mosquitoes in the air were all shaken to the ground by the immense pressure. Not only that, it had even shaken them to death. The tyrannical emperor's limitless sword was much more useful than the mosquito-exterminating palm. However, it required a cool-down time of 1 day. Now, Xianxia was no longer in his way. He looked at the wood spirit in front of him and immediately chased after it. The flying wood spirit turned its head to look and was so scared that it lost its soul. Immediately after, the sea of vines below suddenly changed, and all the vines attacked Xianxia. Petty tricks. Xianxia snorted coldly in his heart. He cleverly avoided the attacks of the vines, then rushed toward the wood spirit and grabbed at the air. Dragon catching hand. A huge palm easily caught the wood spirit in the palm of its hand. Let's see how you're going to run now. Xianxia quickly approached and caught the wood spirit. Chirp chirp. The wood spirit slapped Xianxia's hand, but it couldn't break free. Wei Zhentian, translate for me. This wood spirit was an exotic beast, and so was Wei Zhentian. They should be able to communicate. Wei Zhentian and Xianxia could communicate in their minds, so naturally they could translate. It said that I stepped into its territory and wanted me to leave immediately. Otherwise it would kill me? Xianxia raised his eyebrows. These were all translated by Wei Zhentian after he communicated with the wood spirit. Good fellow, you're quite arrogant. It's easy for me to kill you now. If you bring me to look for treasures, I can let you go. Xianxia said. After Wei Zhentian finished translating, the wood spirit chirped a few more times. What? You're saying that there are no more treasures here? Xianxia raised his eyebrows. He wouldn't believe this nonsense. He shouted angrily. If you keep spouting nonsense, do you believe that I'll kill you? Chirp chirp. All right, bring me to take a look. Otherwise I'll kill you. Xianxia nodded. This wood spirit compromised and was willing to bring him around. It no longer controlled things to attack. Xianxia held the wood spirit in his hand and left the Sea of Vines. After leaving the Sea of Vines, it was the 1,000 Tree Sect's branch. However, this place was already in ruins. Along the way, the wood spirit told Wei Zhentian that there was still a large number of wood spirits here. They were all reared by the 1,000 Tree Sect. The disciples of the 1,000 Tree Sect would usually sign a contract with the wood spirit to increase the effects of their nature powers on plants. Thousands of years ago, the 1,000 Tree Sect left in a hurry. These wood spirits had been staying here for thousands of years. Not only that, this wood spirit also told Xianxia that it was the king of these wood spirits. Wood spirit king? Xianxia raised his eyebrows. He was slightly surprised. However, after going around in a big circle and using his eye of perception, he really didn't feel anything useful. Other than the tree demons, there weren't even any treasures here. It really didn't look like a treasure ground. However, at this moment, what? You want to make a deal with me? After Wei Zhentian translated, Xianxia looked at the wood spirit king in his hand in surprise. Just now, this wood spirit king said that it wanted to make a deal with him. Why would you make a deal with me? Xianxia narrowed his eyes. This was out of his expectations. Because I have a strong life aura on me? This time, Xianxia understood. His body had the bloodline of the sacred tree of life, so his life aura was very strong. The last time, he used his blood to let the mini sky dragon hatch earlier. Then what kind of deal do you want to make? What benefits can I get? Xianxia asked again. A deal had to satisfy both parties. If this wood spirit king couldn't give him a satisfactory reward, he wouldn't help unless he had a conscience. Help me save the heavenly treasure tree and give me a heavenly treasure tree holy seed? After Wei Zhentian translated, Xianxia paused for a moment. Heavenly treasure tree was the name of a heavenly treasure tree. The heavenly treasure tree holy seed was naturally the seed. After planting it, he could plant another heavenly treasure tree. This heavenly treasure tree holy seed shouldn't be of any use to me. No, maybe I can devour it. Xianxia thought about it. Anyway, his blood didn't cost money. Even if he drained it, he wouldn't die. Moreover, the speed of his blood production was shockingly fast. Bring me to take a look first, Xianxia said to the wood spirit king. Then, under the guidance of the wood spirit king, he kept wandering around the 1,000 Tree Sect. Chapter 1138. After a while, the Wood Spirit King brought Xianxia to the depths of the Thousand Trees sect. Here, there was a gigantic tree comparable to a 100-story skyscraper. This gigantic tree was the heavenly treasure tree that the Wood Spirit King mentioned. At this moment, this heavenly treasure tree was yellow in color, decaying to the extreme. It had a lifeless appearance. Beside the heavenly treasure tree, there were countless green lights flashing. They were all wood spirits. In addition, there were a large number of butterflies, mosquitoes, bees, and other strange creatures circling around it. Now, Xianxia understood why the Wood Spirit King was able to control those giant mosquitoes. It was because these creatures all relied on this heavenly treasure tree to survive, and the reason why this heavenly treasure tree could live for 1,000 years was because of these wood spirits. No, it should be said that they coexisted. If the heavenly treasure tree withered, all the wood spirits would die. Okay, I'll help you save this heavenly treasure tree. Without another word, Xianxia took out some blood vials and threw them at the heavenly treasure tree. Kacha! The blood vials shattered, and Xianxia's blood, which was full of vitality, splashed onto the heavenly treasure tree and was instantly absorbed. It was unknown if it was because the life force in Xianxia's blood was too dense, or if it was because the heavenly treasure tree was already on its last breath. But after absorbing the blood from the dozen or so blood bottles, a green light began to emit and quickly spread. Seems like it's not enough. Xianxia looked up. This heavenly treasure tree was at least 3,000 meters tall. If he wanted to save it, he would have to bleed again today. Because the mini sky dragon took away a large number of blood vials, he cut his hand and started to bleed. The life aura of the heavenly treasure tree also began to strengthen and recover its vitality. Seeing this, the surrounding creatures started to get excited. After a whole hour, Xianxia finally saved the heavenly treasure tree. At this moment, the heavenly treasure tree had recovered from its withered state to its peak. At the same time, the tree trunk stored a large amount of Xianxia's blood. It would probably surpass its peak in a short while. The surrounding wood spirits and strange beasts began to celebrate. They had accompanied the heavenly treasure tree for 1,000 years, and now that it had been saved, they were naturally overjoyed. All right, I've saved it. Shouldn't you fulfill your promise? Xianxia said to the Wood Spirit King. The latter looked at Xianxia gratefully and then led the way. After making a big circle, Xianxia saw a tree hole a kilometer in the sky. Earlier, when he was spraying blood around the heavenly treasure tree, he did not see this tree hole. But now, there was actually another tree hole. In this tree hole, there was a green seed. It was the size of a fist and was emitting a green light. The heavenly treasure tree's saint seed. Previously, with the eye of revelation, he could see that the heavenly treasure tree was on the verge of death, and it would only live for a few months at most. However, he did not see this tree hole, nor did he see any seed. Good Lord, you're giving me a blank check. Xianxia immediately reacted. This Wood Spirit King really had a good plan. First, let him save the heavenly treasure tree, then let the heavenly treasure tree form a treasure tree saint seed. If he could not save the heavenly treasure tree, then even if the heavenly treasure tree wanted to, it would not have the ability to form a treasure tree saint seed. Although he was a little unhappy, Xianxia could not be bothered to care so much. He rushed over and kept the treasure tree saint seed. The Thousand Tree sect used to rely on this heavenly treasure tree to survive, but they were in a hurry to leave. After all, if they were a step late, they could have been wiped out. In addition, they already had the treasure tree saint seed, so they left the heavenly treasure tree alone. Now that Xianxia had saved the heavenly treasure tree and received the treasure tree saint seed as a reward, the deal was considered complete. However, just as Xianxia kept the treasure tree saint seed into the devouring space. Ding! Host has activated the hidden system. Planting system. Ding! Host, do you want to plant the treasure tree saint seed? Suddenly, 2 system notifications rang, making Xianxia tremble. What's going on? A hidden system? Xianxia was shocked. He remembered that the only system that he had not activated was the bloodline fusion system. But now, there was a hidden planting system. This was not so simple. What's the use of the planting system? Xianxia was not in a hurry to answer. He first immersed his mind into the planting system. This planting system was actually a planting space. Inside was a grassland. The size of this planting space would increase as Xianxia's level increased. Next, Xianxia could plant heaven and earth treasures in this planting space. When the heaven and earth treasures matured, he could harvest them. Simply put, he would have a moving treasure land in the future. A large number of heaven and earth treasures would be born, and then he could harvest them. These heaven and earth treasures could be used for devouring, alchemy, and so on. However, this was not the most important thing. What attracted Yi Xian's attention was that he could store living things in the planting space. For example, Lualua would not need to stay in the planting space in the future. Haha, good. From now on, I will turn the planting space into a cultivation treasure land. It has more yuan qi of heaven and earth than the outside world. From now on, Lualua can directly cultivate in it. Yi Xian's expression was rippling. However, this planting space had requirements for living things. Humans could not enter, but exotic beasts like Wei Zhentian and the wood spirit could. Yi Xian did not think too much and directly answered in his mind. Yes. Then, he began to plant the heavenly treasure tree saint seed in the center of the planting space. After the heavenly treasure tree saint seed was planted, a small sapling immediately grew. Then, Yi Xian used a blood bottle and used his blood as a water source to water the sapling for a few seconds. This sapling received blood rich with vitality and began to grow rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it grew into a towering tree that was dozens of meters tall. At the same time, after this small heavenly treasure tree grew, Yi Xian also felt that the yuan qi of heaven and earth in the planting space had undergone a tremendous change. Amazing! The yuan qi of heaven and earth in the planting space has surpassed the spirit spring of the Hu Manor. Yi Xian was shocked. He immediately continued to water the sapling with his blood. The heavenly treasure tree continued to grow and soon reached a height of 100 meters. The density of the yuan qi of heaven and earth had greatly surpassed the spirit spring of the Hu Manor. I have the bloodline of the divine tree of life in my body. If I continue to water this heavenly treasure tree with my blood, will it grow into a divine tree of life? Yi Xian suddenly had this idea. Chapter 1139. However, judging from how Fairy Luli had asked for the Fountain of Youth that day, even the supreme-grade Fountain of Youth couldn't compare to his blood. Yi Xian tried using the Fountain of Youth. Sure enough, the effect was much worse than his blood. Although the Fountain of Youth was supreme grade, its main effect was to prolong one's life. Otherwise, why would Fairy Luli use it to exchange for his blood? I can't water it anymore, or it will explode. I have to wait for it to digest. Yi Xian temporarily gave up on nurturing the heavenly treasure tree. With such abundant qi of heaven and earth, and with Yi Xian's current realm, the planting space was the size of 2 or 3 large cities. Such a large space naturally had to be filled to the brim with plants. In the exchange system, one could exchange for many seeds of heaven and earth treasures. These seeds were very cheap. Yi Xian directly exchanged for all kinds of seeds and then scattered them. Some of these heaven and earth treasures improved one's physique, some increased one's cultivation, and some gathered qi of heaven and earth. There were all kinds of things. Under normal circumstances, heaven and earth treasures took at least a month to grow before they could be harvested. Some took a year, even 10 or 100 years. Not to mention a year, Yi Xian couldn't even wait a month. Wood Spirit King, I'll make another deal with you. You can listen. Yi Xian said to the Wood Spirit King. The Wood Spirit King blinked and nodded slightly, indicating that it was willing to listen. I have a place with a heavenly treasure tree. Although it's much smaller than yours, the environment and qi of heaven and earth there are much more abundant. Simply put, I want to take you in. I don't know if you're willing to leave here. Yi Xian said directly. Hearing this, the Wood Spirit King thought carefully for a moment, then let Wei Zhentian translate. Okay, you can go in and take a look first. Yi Xian nodded and directly used a special method to let the Wood Spirit King enter the planting space. If one wanted to enter this kind of planting space, one only needed the owner's consent. But if one wanted to leave, they had to ask for Yi Xian's opinion. Yi Xian stored the Wood Spirit King into the planting space. Then, the Wood Spirit King exploded. The planting space was indeed much better than the Thousand Tree Sect. Even at the peak of the Thousand Tree Sect, the heaven and earth yuan qi was probably only at this level. If that heavenly treasure tree and the other treasures were nurtured, the yuan qi of heaven and earth would definitely surpass that of the Thousand Tree Sect. To the wood spirits and other beasts, this was simply heaven. Without another word, the Wood Spirit King immediately agreed to this condition and was willing to move into the planting space. Not only that, but it also suggested to Yi Xian to transfer the heart of the heavenly treasure tree outside to the heavenly treasure tree in the planting space. Once the heart of the heavenly treasure tree was formed, the heavenly treasure tree outside would wither in an instant. However, the heavenly treasure tree in the planting space would quickly grow. Originally, the Wood Spirit King wanted to transplant the Thousand Tree Sect's heavenly treasure tree in. However, this heavenly treasure tree was too big, so they could only use the method of condensing the heart of the treasure tree. When Xian heard this suggestion, he was naturally overjoyed. This would save him a lot of time. After the Wood Spirit King left the planting space, it began to organize all kinds of beasts and enter the planting space. That heavenly treasure tree was already sentient. It directly used its newly recovered vitality to condense the heart of the heavenly treasure tree, which was then brought into the planting space by the Wood Spirit King. When this heart of the heavenly treasure tree merged with the heavenly treasure tree in the planting space, this heavenly treasure tree would grow by 1,000 meters, and the yuan qi of heaven and earth would expand once again. As there were only so many planting spaces, the yuan qi of heaven and earth would start to liquefy, forming a stream of water, which was the so-called spirit spring. Ha ha ha, I've profited big time. Xian could not help but laugh out loud. He had profited big time, he had indeed profited big time. If Luo came to this kind of planting space to cultivate, her cultivation speed would definitely be 10 times faster than in Hu village. Not only that, these beasts were now under Xian's control. If there was any danger in the future, Xian could even release these beasts to attack the enemy. Lightning Blade Mantis, Poisonous Bee King, 100-Flower Butterfly, Green Thread Snake, Bloodthirsty Mosquito, and so on. These beasts all obeyed Xian's orders. Now that Xian was at the 8th stage of the manifestation realm, the surrounding beasts had already gained sentience. Even an ant could probably understand human language. Even if a mouse here was placed in the Blood Rock continent, it would probably be able to proclaim itself as an overlord. All of this was thanks to the yuan qi of heaven and earth. At this moment, this heavenly treasure tree had already withered, and there was not a single living creature around it. They had all been kept into the planting space by Xian. The wood spirits were originally the totems of the Thousand Tree Sect, and every disciple had to sign the 7 moons pact with them to increase the effects of the manifestation power on the plants. However, the wood spirits could do it by themselves, so Xian had them help to manage the planting space to increase the production of heaven and earth treasures. Not only that, but Xian had also previously obtained fire spirits, earth spirits, and other beasts. He had also put them all in. Luo, come. Don't cultivate in the Hu family village anymore. Young master will bring you to a better place. Xian said in his heart. Then, he broke through the void and returned to the Hu family village. Young master, what better place? Luo, who was sitting beside the spirit spring, blinked her big eyes and asked in confusion. However, before she could react, she was already kept into the storage space by Xian. At the same time, Xian returned to the Thousand Tree Sect ruins and closed the void door. Ah, what kind of treasure land is this? Why is the yuan qi of heaven and earth so abundant? Luo was shocked. This is a new independent space that I, young master, have opened up. From now on you can cultivate by that spirit spring. I have already set up a spirit gathering formation there. Xian immediately pointed the way for Luo. The spirit spring in the planting space was formed by the liquefaction of the yuan qi of heaven and earth. Xian had even set up a high-level spirit gathering formation there to facilitate the gathering of the yuan qi of heaven and earth. Furthermore, he had also stored a large amount of fresh blood at the side. His fresh blood was filled with vitality. If it was left at the side for a long time, it would also have the effect of prolonging one's life. Although the yuan qi in the planting space was about the same as the Thousand Tree Sect branch in the past, as long as this new heavenly treasure tree was restored to its peak, then whether it was the yuan qi of heaven and earth or the various beasts, they would all be improved by a level. Xian was finally no longer isolated and without help. From now on, he could summon these beasts to fight for him. Ding! The yuan qi in the planting space has reached the standard. The planting space's level has increased. A system notification sounded. Xian raised his eyebrows. He subconsciously glanced at the interface and realized that the planting space had a level. Chapter 1140. When the level of the planting space increased, the space would also increase greatly. Not only that, it would also increase the growth rate of the treasures, the abundance of yuan qi, and the growth rate of the creatures in the planting space. In any case, there were only advantages and no disadvantages. If the planting space increased to level 3,
It would be able to store Tong Tian beasts. In the future, it could even store people and let them cultivate in it. All in all, this planting space was very good. Yi Xian could save a lot of things in the future. As long as Yi Xian continued to break through, the planting space would be comparable to a continent, and he would be the master of the continent. Speaking of which, Yi Xian had now subdued all the tribes in the Thousand Tree Sect ruins. As long as he wanted to, he could wipe out all the teams in Rakshasa City. Although I didn't get any treasures, I've activated the planting space and a large tribe. Now, even if I meet the city master of Rakshasa City, I won't be afraid. Yi Xian was suddenly full of confidence. In this Thousand Tree Sect ruins, although his strength was not the best, no one could threaten him anymore. Hence, he could walk out openly. If anyone dared to have any ideas about him, the consequences would be very serious. However, just as he re-entered the Tengman Ocean, a black figure slowly walked towards him from afar. Someone's here. Yi Xian trembled. Those who were able to walk out of the lost forest were either lucky or strong. However, Yi Xian had tens of thousands of beasts. Even if everyone in Rakshasa City gathered, they might not be able to kill him. However, when Yi Xian saw the figure's face clearly, his eyes could not help but shoot out murderous intent. Although the person walking towards him was masked, the aura on him was very familiar to him. "Mo Shui, it's you?" Yi Xian exclaimed. How could he have thought that the person in front of him was the target of his revenge mission, Mo Shui? He was not the only one who did not expect it. Even Mo Shui did not expect it. Tisk. TSK. TSK. You were lucky to be saved by that heavenly dragon last time. Let's see how you're going to escape now. Mo Shui said with a cold look in his eyes. Back then, although his chest was pierced by the mini heavenly dragon, fortunately, the mini heavenly dragon was afraid of him and did not kill him. Now that the mini sky dragon had returned to the life-sacred land, who could save Yi Xian? That day when I was at the same level as Mo Shui, I couldn't beat him. But today, I'm a realm higher than him, and I have a large number of strange beasts helping me. As long as he doesn't set up a space ceiling formation, even if I can't beat him, I can still escape. Yi Xian thought to himself. Although he was now one realm higher than Mo Shui was still a reincarnator, so he was only 30% confident. Even with the addition of those exotic beasts, it was only 50%. 50% chance of killing Mo Shui. This was a risk he could take. At this moment, Yi Xian saw Mo Shui's finger lightly shaking. A strand of Zhan Qi condensed into a thread and transmitted to the ground. Not good, this guy is setting up a space ceiling formation. Yi Xian raised his eyebrows and hurriedly attacked. He had a 50% chance of killing Mo Shui, but there was also a 50% chance of losing, so he had to ensure his own safety. Once Mo Shui finished setting up the space ceiling formation, the Eye of the Void would be unusable. You found out? Mo Shui snorted coldly. This time, he was determined to kill Yi Xian. Even if the space ceiling formation was not set up, he was confident that he could beat Yi Xian so badly that he could not even use the Eye of the Void. Eye of Glory. Blood Explosion Fist. Golden Dragon Catcher Hand. Yi Xian went all out and directly used his divine ability. In the current situation, his fists were more useful. Wei Zhentian, who was in the 9th level of the manifestation realm, also took the lead to break through the air and attacked like a war god. Kid, today is the day you die. Mo Shui roared and grabbed at Yi Xian's attack. Azure Dragon Claw. An Azure Dragon Claw and a golden hand collided, creating a shockwave that sent the vines on the ground flying. This move was similar to Yi Xian's Dragon Catcher Hand, but it was of a higher level. It was an upper-level manifestation martial art. Yi Xian, who'd been using the Eye of Insight the entire time, copied this move down. Ding! Azure Dragon Claw copied successfully. However, this was not the end. After this system notification, there was another one. Ding! Azure Dragon Claw and Dragon Catcher Hand can perform a perfect martial art fusion. Do you want to proceed? This system notification shocked Yi Xian. Martial art fusion? He suddenly remembered that there was an advancement path for martial art fusion in his sword god bloodline. However, this martial art fusion was a huge trap, so Yi Xian had forgotten about it. He did not expect that it would be triggered now. Of course, this was not a normal fusion, but a perfect martial art fusion. The success rate was 100%. Fusion. Yi Xian didn't say anything else and directly replied in his mind. After the system deducted some super devour crystals, it prompted again. Ding. Azure Dragon Claw and Dragon Catcher Hand have been fused. The fusion martial art will become Azure Dragon Claw 8 powers. Do you want to learn it? Yes. Ding. Host has learned Azure Dragon Claw 8 powers. System notifications sounded one after another. However, only a moment had passed in the outside world. The shockwave from the collision of Azure Dragon Claw and Dragon Catcher Hand had not yet spread out. However, Yi Xian had now obtained a new martial art, Azure Dragon Claw 8 powers. Moreover, this left Azure Dragon's 8 forces was a nether passage divine ability. Haha, Emo Shui, you're dead meat. Yi Xian suddenly laughed loudly. His left hand formed a claw and swept at Emo Shui. Azure Dragon Claw 8 powers. First move, Dragon in the Field. A golden heavenly dragon suddenly appeared and clawed at Emo Shui. Emo Shui raised his eyebrows. He found that this move was not Dragon Catcher Hand. In fact, it was much stronger than Dragon Catcher Hand. However, as an assassin, speed was a very important attribute, so he easily dodged this claw. However, at this moment, Azure Dragon Claw 8 powers, second move, double dragons playing with a pearl. Another golden sky dragon appeared, but this time, it was 2 sky dragons attacking together. Although Emo Shui had dodged the previous golden sky dragon's attack, it did not disappear. What? Emo Shui was shocked. He found that the second claw was stronger than the first, but he still easily dodged it. Chapter 1141. Zhuaqing Long Claw. Third move, Dragon in the Sky. While Emo Shui was dodging the 2 claws, Yi Xian suddenly jumped up and attacked again. The third golden dragon appeared. Zhuaqing Long Claw. Fourth move, Dragon Repents. Zhuaqing Long Claw. Fifth move, Dragon Rages in the Wild. Zhuaqing Long Claw. Sixth move, 6 Dragon Circle. In the blink of an eye, there were 6 golden figures in the sea of vines. Every time Yi Xian clawed out, he would be able to condense a golden dragon. Moreover, they would all join forces with the previous few to attack together. Zhuaqing Long's 8 powers stretching claws had already reached the 6th power. Although Emo Shui's speed was fast, he was not as strong as he wanted to be. Zhuaqing Long Claw. 7th move, Divine Dragon swings its tail. The 7th golden dragon appeared. This time, it didn't attack with its claws, but with its tail. Whoosh whoosh. The 7th golden dragon appeared behind Emo Shui. It swung its body, and its golden tail turned into a stream of light and lashed at Emo Shui. At the same time, the other 6 golden dragons attacked together. 7 golden dragons, plus Wei Zhentian and Yi Xian's blood explosion fist and disintegration eye attack. Emo Shui was already in a terrible fix. Fortunately, as a reincarnator, Emo Shui had the ethereal passage realm's superpower. The 7 dragons couldn't do anything to him. I can't let him summon more golden dragons, or my true chi won't be enough to kill him. Emo Shui's eyes flickered. He was only at the 7th level of the manifestation realm, and he didn't have the bloodline of the divine tree of life. Using the ethereal passage realm superpower to dodge the attacks had consumed a lot of his true chi. If he used it again, he would be in trouble. Red blood explodes the sky. Emo Shui gathered a large amount of true chi, and his aura skyrocketed. This move again? Yi Xian's expression froze, and he quickly retreated. He didn't get close to Emo Shui because he was afraid that Emo Shui would use the same move again. Immediately, he summoned Wei Zhentian back and let him out again, covering the brilliant golden armor with Wei Zhentian. Boom! A blood-red light flashed as an extremely powerful aura rapidly spread out. The resulting shockwave spread in front of Yi Xian and sent him flying. Kacha! Even though Wei Zhentian had already reached the peak of the manifestation realm, he still couldn't block this attack. Fortunately, this time, only Wei Zhentian's defense was broken. The glorious golden armor was fine, so naturally, Yi Xian was also fine. This explosion was sudden, but it was much weaker than the previous one. After all, Emo Shui only wanted to get rid of the trouble around him. As the shockwave swept out, he madly dashed towards Yi Xian. His hand was tightly gripping the glowing silver blade as he prepared to cut off Yi Xian's head.
He had already witnessed Yi Xian's undying ability, but as long as he cut off Yi Xian's head, Yi Xian's body would no longer be able to move. When the time came, all they had to do was destroy Yi Xian's head. However, Yi Xian was no longer the same as before. Haha, Mo Shui, do you think it's that simple? Yi Xian suddenly laughed loudly. In the next moment, a petite figure appeared behind him. Luo Luo. After this period of cultivation, Luo Luo had already broken through to the 6th level of the manifestation realm. She even said that she would break through to the 9th level of the manifestation realm within 3 days. She didn't appear to participate in the battle, but to improve Yi Xian. Eye of Charm. A pink eyeball appeared above Luolua's head and directly stared at Yi Xian's back. An invisible force supported Yi Xian's body, causing his soul strength to increase greatly. Left Azure Dragon stretches its claws, 8th move of the 8 moves, Leaderless Dragons. Yi Xian finally used his 8th move, which was also his last move. Then, Mo Shui suddenly saw 8 golden heavenly dragons suddenly appear around him and pounce towards him. It turned out that he had wasted his energy just now. Go! Mo Shui continuously used his ethereal passage to dodge the attacks. Then, he used the ultimate move, Crimson Blood Roaring Sky, so he didn't have much true qi in his body. Thus, he chose to retreat this time. However, this time, he wouldn't leave so easily. 10,000 swords returned to origin. Wei Zhentian had unknowingly appeared behind Mo Shui from under the Sea of Vines. He instantly transformed into thousands of giant swords and smashed towards Mo Shui. Mo Shui's expression darkened. It seemed that he had no choice but to leave this time. Originally, he wanted to play hard to get and let Yi Xian chase after him. Then, he would suddenly attack and kill him. However, Yi Xian wasn't even close to him now. How was he going to kill him? Boom! 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 The giant swords fell one after another. Mo Shui turned into a bolt of black lightning and moved between the giant swords. However, in the end, there were still too many heaven-shaking giant swords. He couldn't escape this calamity, and was locked inside. Haha, let's see where you can run to now. Yi Xian was overjoyed. Last time, he and his subordinates were utterly defeated by Mo Shui, and he almost lost his life. This time, he actually used a ethereal passage divine ability to beat Mo Shui into running away. It seemed that the revenge mission could be completed. After all, this revenge mission to kill Mo Shui had a reward of 3 devour points. Thinking of this, Yi Xian was extremely excited. He immediately turned into a stream of light and rushed over. Luo Luo was already prepared. She threw the 7-colored demonic fire at the spiritual sword formation from afar. Yi Xian also ordered the 8 heavenly dragons to surround Mo Shui. At the same time, he waved his hand. A large group of strange beasts appeared beside him. Then, they split into 2 groups and went around the spiritual sword formation to block Mo Shui's escape route. In the spiritual sword formation, Mo Shui frowned. His right cheek was twitching. As a reincarnator, he was actually defeated by an 8th-level manifestation realm brat. What an insult! He was very regretful now. However, it was not because he did not finish off Yi Xian quickly that day, but because he regretted fighting a ethereal passage realm expert. Damn it! I used a lot of true qi to kill the Thunderlight City Lord. Otherwise, I would have beheaded this brat. Mo Shui cursed in his heart. That's right. Just now, he had killed a Nether Passage realm expert, the Thunderluster City Lord, with his cultivation at the 7th level of the manifestation realm. However, Yi Xian did not know about this, and he did not need to know. Yi Xian only needed to know that Mo Shui was at the end of his strength. He had 100 ways to kill Mo Shui. Brat, you're good today. Mo Shui, will remember this. Mo Shui snorted coldly in the spiritual sword formation. When the voice sounded, there was a huge explosion. It was Luo Luo who detonated the 7-colored demonic fire. However, this move was not able to hurt Mo Shui. Chapter 1142. Not good, it's that move again. Mo Shui can still use it? Yi Xian swallowed his saliva and quickly put Luo Luo into the planting space before retreating. Boom! Another huge explosion broke all of the heaven-shaking giant swords. This time, Mo Shui took a long time to gather his strength, so it was twice as powerful as before. The moment the spiritual sword array collapsed, Mo Shui turned into a streak of blood-red light and rushed towards the lost forest. Tisk, do you think I'm not prepared? Yi Xian snorted in his heart. Earlier, he had already sent out a large number of exotic beasts. Lightning blade mantis, poisonous bee king, 100-flower butterfly, green silk snake, and bloodthirsty mosquitoes were all sent out. There were more than 5,000 of them in total. Even a Nether Passage realm elite would be heavily injured or even killed by such a group of exotic beasts. However, Mo Shui was only stunned for a moment. Brat, I, Mo Shui, will definitely return today's grudge with both hands. Mo Shui's voice rang out, and his speed suddenly increased by several times. Blood escape. This was a move he used specifically for escaping. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he would not use it. After all, every time he used it, not only would he have to burn his essence blood, but he would also be weakened for a period of time. However, he had no choice but to use it now. Mo Shui's speed increased to the extreme, almost exceeding Yi Xian's reaction time. If Mo Shui attacked at this time, Yi Xian would not be able to block him. Fortunately, after using Blood Escape, Mo Shui could no longer use his chi to attack, so he could only escape. F***CK. A reincarnator is indeed a reincarnator. He has so many tricks up his sleeve. Yi Xian swallowed his saliva. In the blink of an eye, Mo Shui had already avoided the exotic beasts and left his sight. It seemed that this revenge mission had failed again. No, there was still a chance. Humph, you want to leave? Not so easy. Yi Xian directly broke through the void and returned to the Lost Forest's exit. He had positioned himself at both the Lost Forest's exit and the Thousand Tree Sect's entrance. Now he could use it. The current Mo Shui was at the end of his strength, so this was the best chance to kill him. If he let Mo Shui escape, he did not know when he would see him again. However, just as he arrived at the Lost Forest's exit, he sensed two extremely powerful auras. Nether Passage Realm. Is it the Thunder City Lord and Luo City Lord? Was the Luo City Lord of Luo? He was Luo City Lord of Luo City and another masked man. Was the Luo City Lord of Luo? Luo. At this moment, Yi Xian finally reacted. Didn't the 9th level Wanxiang realm martial artist and Mo Shui he'd killed earlier wear the same attire? Yi Xian's eyes flickered. If the two of them were to join forces, the Thunderlight City Lord would be killed within 10 moves. At that moment, the two of them were standing beside a corpse. Yi Xian took a closer look and realized that the headless corpse belonged to the Thunder City's Luo City Lord. The Thunder City's Luo City Lord was dead? That's not right. The Thunder City's Luo City Lord was killed by Luo and the masked assassin. He would have died long ago. Yi Xian sensed this as the Thunder City's Luo City Lord's corpse was no longer warm. It was obvious that he had not just died. At this moment, Luo and Luo Sha turned and noticed Yi Xian, who had just come out of the void door. Kid, I've seen you before. You're from Thunder City. Luo Sha said to Yi Xian. So what? Yi Xian squinted his eyes and began to mobilize his true chi. How did your city lord die? Luo Sha asked curiously. The Thunder City's Luo City Lord was in the Nether Passage realm. Other than him and Luo Sha, there was actually someone who could cut off his head. Hence, Luo Sha was very shocked. Could there be other elites in the Thousand Tree Sect's ruins? I don't know. Yi Xian shook his head. Now, he could confirm that the Thunder City's Luo Sha and the masked assassin didn't kill the Thunder City's Luo Sha. Perhaps, the one who killed the Thunder City's Luo Sha was Mo Shui. No wonder Mo Shui was chased away by him today. It turned out that he had just fought a battle with a Nether Passage realm elite. If that's the case, then go to hell. When Luo Sha heard this, he immediately raised his hand and prepared to kill Yi Xian instantly. Even a 9th level of the manifestation realm could only be killed instantly in front of Luo Sha, let alone Yi Xian, who was at the 8th level of the manifestation realm. However, this sword was scattered by Yi Xian's blood explosion fist. Oh! Luo Sha was slightly surprised. An 8th level manifestation realm martial artist was actually able to block his attack. This was already very good. If Mo Shui comes later, these two will be a hindrance. I have to deal with them as soon as possible. Yi Xian squinted his eyes. With a wave of his hand, countless mutated beasts appeared.
Previously, because the heavenly treasure tree was on the verge of withering, the number of these strange beasts had been greatly reduced. Now that the heavenly treasure tree had recovered, the environment was much better, so it wouldn't be long before these strange beasts multiplied. What the hell is this? Luo Sha and Luo Sha were both shocked. They had just come out of the Lost Forest and found the Thunder City's city lord's corpse. They had not entered the Sea of Vines yet. Although they did not know how they appeared, they could feel that this group of mutated beasts was not to be trifled with. After all, they lived in the Thousand Tree Sect's ruins. Die, brat! Luo Sha drew his long sword and went forward. His brother Luo Sha also held his sword and was prepared to slaughter this group of mutated beasts. If the two of them worked together, they could deal with all the mutated beasts. However, don't forget that Yi Xian was not just a pretty face. Eye of Glory. Left Azure Dragon stretching 8 forces. At that moment, Yi Xian threw out the Skyquake sword. At the same time, his left hand formed a claw and executed the martial arts that he had just learned. Golden heavenly dragons began to appear and pounced towards the black-clothed assassin Luo Sha. Humph! Insignificant skill. Luo Sha snorted coldly. He was an ethereal realm elite after all. Why would he be afraid of Yi Xian, an 8th-level manifestation realm brat? Moreover, he was an assassin. Yi Xian had just executed the 5th force of the left Azure Dragon stretching 8 forces when Luo Sha had already arrived in front of him. Die, brat! Luo Sha clenched his fist and stabbed down at Yi Xian's head. He did not know that Yi Xian had the Eye of Eternity, so this attack could not kill Yi Xian. However, Yi Xian did not avoid it. He was prepared to use this opportunity to kill Luo Sha. This move was called loosening the reins to capture. Swish! Chapter 1143. You've been tricked. Yi Xian suddenly smiled, his eyes flashing. Dissection Eye. 2 dissection rays shot out from Yi Xian's eyes and hit Luo Sha's eyes. In an instant, Luo Sha's eyes were dissected, his vision blurred. Ah! Luo Sha didn't expect Yi Xian's eyes to be able to hurt people. He was instantly blinded. Although he could use heaven and earth treasures to repair it, did he have the time? Left Azure Dragon Claws, 6th move of the 8 moves, 6 Dragon Circle. Bam! Luo Sha was sent flying. A large chunk of flesh was torn off his right shoulder, dripping with blood. Kid, I'm going to kill you. Luo Sha roared at the sky. He was in the ethereal opening realm, but he was blinded by Yi Xian and injured his shoulder. His anger soared to the extreme. However, just as he steadied himself, he was surrounded by a black mass of shadows. Lightning Blade Mantis, Poisonous Wasp King, 100-Flower Butterfly, Blue Thread Snake, and Bloodthirsty Mosquito all surrounded him. Although Luo Sha was in the ethereal opening realm, Yi Xian and Wei Zhentian were keeping him busy. Soon, his blood was sucked away. At the same time, the poison entered his body and reduced him to nothing in the blink of an eye. Big brother! Seeing Luo Sha in such a state, Luo Sha immediately roared and ran toward him. You think you can save him? Yi Xian's eyes flashed, and he reached out with his left hand again. Left Azure Dragon Claws, 7th move of the 8 moves, Divine Dragon swings its tail. The 7th Golden Heavenly Dragon materialized and whipped its golden tail at Rakshasa. Get lost! Luo Sha also used a theurgy, and the 7th Golden Dragon collapsed. However, this 7th Golden Dragon bought Yi Xian some time. Left Azure Dragon Claws, 8th move of the 8 moves, Leaderless Dragons. This time, 2 Golden Celestial Dragons were formed. A total of 8 Golden Celestial Dragons attacked Luo Sha. At this moment, Yi Xian's soul strength was at its peak. After all, it had only been 10 seconds since he defeated Mo Shui. Luolua's Eye of Charm was still in effect. 10,000 Demon Fist, disperse! The Rakshasa roared furiously and threw out a black fist shadow, shattering the 3 golden heavenly dragons. However, he was also surrounded by the remaining 5 golden heavenly dragons. Tear them apart! Yi Xian immediately gave the order to this group of exotic beasts. Plop! A muffled sound rang out. He turned his head to look and found that the masked assassin Luo Sha was already dead. His headless corpse fell into the Sea of Vines. Blood flowed out and flowed down. It was the lightning blade mantis that had cut off the Azura demon's head. This was a type of mantis that was extremely fast. Although it was not a heaven-reaching beast and could only be considered a type of mutated beast, every single one of them had strength comparable to the 9th level of the manifestation realm. Now one of the two great Nether Passage realm experts, Luo Sha, had fallen, and his younger brother Luo Sha was probably not far from death. Big brother. Seeing that his elder brother was dead, Luo Sha was so anxious that his eyes turned red. He looked at Yi Xian and shouted angrily, "Who the hell are you? Does it matter who I am?" Yi Xian replied coldly, then immediately attacked again. Soon, under the pincer attack of him and the exotic beasts, Luo Sha was also defeated. His body was covered in wounds. His blood essence was sucked away, and the poison invaded his body. With Yi Xian and Wei Zhentian holding him back, Luo Sha was reduced to a corpse in the end. Two Nether Passage realm experts had been exhausted to death. Although we lost 2,000 exotic beasts reproduce very quickly. We should be able to replenish them soon. Yi Xian thought to himself as he narrowed his eyes. If he had to face a Nether Passage realm expert alone, he could fight them with the left Azure Dragon's 8 power stretching claws. However, if he faced two Nether Passage realm experts, then he could only use the 10,000 ancestral swords to trap one of them first. Yi Xian swiftly swept over and put away the two's universe rings. Although the two were here to train, there were still many good things in the universe rings, including more than 100 inner demon pills. Unfortunately, the Thunder Luster City's city lord was killed by Mo Shui. The items in his universe ring were probably taken away by Mo Shui. Inner demon pills. Although they can't directly increase the strength of one's soul after refining, they can purify one's soul, improve one's state of mind, and erase inner demons. Yi Xian thought to himself as he swallowed everything. Ding! The host has broken through. The host is currently at the 9th level of the manifestation realm. A system notification sounded, and Yi Xian's aura skyrocketed. He had finally broken through to the 9th level of the manifestation realm. Although I've broken through to the 9th level of the manifestation realm, I haven't reached the peak of the 9th level yet. I wonder if I need a breakthrough item for this breakthrough. Yi Xian thought to himself as he retracted his attention. Now, he had the ability to kill Mo Shui. As long as Mo Shui dared to appear, he would definitely kill him and complete his revenge mission. However, he was very nervous because Mo Shui was a reincarnator after all. He wouldn't be so easy to kill. Just in case, Yi Xian mobilized all the exotic beasts and set up an inescapable net at the entrance of the Lost Forest. Killing Mo Shui and completing the revenge mission would give him 3 Devour points. 3 Devour points could increase his strength by a lot. Mo Shui had to die. However, after waiting for a long time, Yi Xian didn't see Mo Shui's figure. What's going on? Did he predict that I would intercept him on the way? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows as he suddenly thought of this matter. Mo Shui knew that he had the Eye of the Void, so he might not have left through the Lost Forest. Not good. Yi Xian's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly broke through the void and returned. He found that there was a suspicious passage under the sea of vines that Mo Shui had created. Damn it, Mo Shui actually escaped. Yi Xian cursed in his heart. He didn't expect Mo Shui to turn back and leave through the underground. Although the Thousand Tree Sect ruins were protected by a formation, Mo Shui was a reincarnator who had lived for thousands of years in his previous life. How could he be trapped so easily? At this moment, Yi Xian didn't know how long Mo Shui had left, but for the sake of the revenge mission, he naturally had to chase after him. Wei Zhentian. Follow this path and find him. Yi Xian immediately sent out Wei Zhentian. He only hoped that Mo Shui hadn't gone far. Wei Zhentian instantly turned into a drilling machine and expanded the passage. Yi Xian followed behind him. Soon, they left the Thousand Tree Sect ruins and arrived on land. However, there was no trace of Mo Shui. F***CK, I finally managed to catch him, but he actually escaped. I don't know when the next time we meet, and what realm he is in. Yi Xian felt helpless in his heart. Chapter 1144. After pondering on the ground for a moment, Yi Xian returned to the ruins of the Thousand Tree Sect. Although he didn't manage to catch up to Mo Shui, there were still quite a few people in the ruins of the Thousand Tree Sect. As long as he could control them, then Luo Sha City and Thunderlight City would be his. When he returned to the entrance of the Lost Forest, a person happened to come out of the Lost Forest. This person was the son of Thunderlight City's city lord, Lei Long father.
When Lei Long came out of the lost forest, he saw Lei Guang's corpse and immediately rushed over. Yi Xian also quickly walked over and said, "Lei Long, I know who killed your father. Don't worry, I will avenge your father." Hearing this, Lei Long raised his head and fell for Yi Xian's trick. Ding! Control successful. The system notification sounded. Since Thunderlight City's city lord was dead, Lei Long would be the next city lord. Now that Yi Xian controlled him, it was equivalent to controlling Thunderlight City. "Master, you must avenge my father." Lei Long's eyes glistened with tears. "All right." Yi Xian nodded and immediately set up a group of mutated beasts outside the lost forest. He then broke through the void and returned to the entrance of the Thousand Tree Sect's ruins. Next, he would control all the people in the Thousand Tree Sect's ruins. On Thunderlight City's side, there were 15 people who entered the Thousand Tree Sect's ruins. Among them, there was 1 ethereal realm expert and 5 9th-level manifestation realm experts. Rakshasa City was about the same, but now there was an additional team of assassins called Underworld. After more than an hour, Yi Xian controlled most of the 9th-level manifestation realm experts. There were exactly 10 of them. As for the remaining 8th-level manifestation realm experts in Rakshasa City, after seeing Rakshasa's corpse, they all submitted to Yi Xian. This also saved Yi Xian a lot of trouble for the Eye of Control. In the Thousand Tree Sect's ruins, the most precious thing was the dying heavenly treasure tree. There were no other treasures. However, this time, Yi Xian had profited greatly. He brought everyone out of the underground and asked Lei Long to summon the 9th-level manifestation realm double-headed flying dragon. Ding! Control successful. Yi Xian also controlled the double-headed flying dragon and had it carry everyone back to Rakshasa City. There were still many good items in Rakshasa City, and there was still a 9th-level manifestation realm expert left in the city lord's estate. This person naturally wouldn't be able to escape from Yi Xian's evil clutches. Yi Xian plundered the Luosha City's city lord manor and the 4 great clans. He obtained quite a lot of good stuff, including more than 100 heart devil pills. Lei Long, from now on, you are also the city lord of Luosha City. Luosha City is now under your control. Yi Xian said to Lei Long. Yes, master. Lei Long said respectfully. Subsequently, Yi Xian tore through the void and returned to the Lightning Luster City. He also plundered the Lightning Luster City Castellan Mansion and the 3 major families. Then, he reached the peak of the 9th level of the Wanxiang realm. Ding! The host has reached the peak of the manifestation realm. The system prompted. The peak of the manifestation realm was only 1 step away from the ethereal opening realm. At the same time, if Yi Xian wanted to break through to the ethereal opening realm, he would need to prepare 500 heart devil pills. The heart devil pills from before had already been consumed by him. Now, after plundering Rakshasa City and Lightning Luster City, he only managed to gather 250 pills. He only needed 250 heart devil pills to break through to the ethereal opening realm. At that time, Yi Xian's strength would at least increase by 3 times. One day later, Lei Long had settled all the matters and succeeded as the city lord. At the same time, he also appointed a vice city lord in Rakshasa City, who was also manager Xia. As for the assassins from the underworld, they were all killed by Yi Xian. These people were useless. If there weren't enough seats for the Eye of Control in the future, they would be released. At that time, they could threaten Lightning Luster City and Rakshasa City. At this moment, in the Lightning Luster City Lord Manor. Master, do you know who killed my father? Lei Long couldn't help but ask. Although he was already under Yi Xian's control, Yi Xian did not restrict his thoughts. The murderer is called Mo Shui. He is a reincarnator. In his previous life, he was at least a rebirth realm elite. That day, after he killed your father, he fought with me. However, I was unable to kill him. As Yi Xian spoke, he looked at Lei Guang. Don't worry. If I meet him next time, I will definitely avenge your father. Thank you, master. Lei Long's heart trembled as he hurriedly cupped his fists and thanked him. It wasn't that he doubted Yi Xian's strength, but the murderer's background was too big. A reincarnator. His father's murderer was actually a reincarnator. Then, his father's death was not unjust. The matter of the Thousand Tree Sect's ruins had already ended. Yi Xian also asked Lei Long and manager Xie to issue a warrant for Mo Shui's arrest. However, Yi Xian reckoned that it wouldn't have any effect. Hence,
he decided to personally search the surroundings and get some demonic pills. Yi Xian left Thunderlight City and prepared to search for Mo Shui. He couldn't be more familiar with Mo Shui's aura. As long as Mo Shui appeared within his range of perception, he would definitely sense it. At that time, it would be the time of Mo Shui's death. After a day of nurturing by the wood spirit in the planting space, the heavenly treasure tree had grown over 10 meters tall. Furthermore, it was growing at a speed visible to the naked eye every day. Presumably, it would not be long before this heavenly treasure tree would surpass the one in the Thousand Tree Sect ruins. Luo Luo cultivated inside. Her cultivation progressed 1,000 miles in a day. In just one day, she broke through to the 7th level of the Wanxiang realm. Yi Xian reckoned that Luo Luo could break through to the 9th level of the Wanxiang realm within 3 days. Then she could break through to the ethereal opening realm. Furthermore, Luo Luo's cultivation speed would surpass his in the future. Yi Xian began to search around Luoxia City. Occasionally, he would kill some monsters and pick some treasures. Although this might be a waste of time, Mo Shui was currently at the 7th level of the Wanxiang realm, 2 levels lower than him. It was the best time to beat him up. If he found Mo Shui, then Mo Shui would definitely die. For the revenge mission's 3 devour points, even if he had to search for half a month, it would be worth it. However, things didn't go as smoothly as he imagined. After Mo Shui left the Thousand Tree Sect ruins, he disappeared without a trace. No one knew where he was hiding. Yi Xian searched for 2 full days, but to no avail. Sigh, looks like I can't find him. Yi Xian was slightly dejected. In these 2 days, Luo Luo had broken through to the 8th level of the Wanxiang realm. In another 1 or 2 days, she would break through to the 9th level of the Wanxiang realm. Hence, Yi Xian was thinking, should I find Luo Luo breaking through to the 9th level of the Wanxiang realm? Or should I find Luo Luo breaking through to the ethereal opening realm? Forget it. Anyway, the revenge mission doesn't have a time limit. When I become stronger in the future and surpass Mo Shui, I'll search on a large scale. Yi Xian made a decision in his heart. Chapter 1145. These 2 auras were actually Nether Passage experts, and they were no weaker than the Thunderlight City Lord and Luoxia City Lord. What's going on? Why are there 2 more Nether Passage experts in this area? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows in confusion. Originally, there were only 2 Nether Passage realm experts in this area, the Luoxia City Lord and the Thunderlight City Lord. Luoxia's brother, Luoxia, had also come from somewhere else. As for Mo Shui, he had only met Luoxia on his way to Luoxia City. Now, 2 Nether Passage experts had suddenly appeared. This made Yi Xian feel a little incredulous. However, he did not think too much about it. If he caught these 2 Nether Passage experts, he might be able to obtain a heart demon pill. At that time, he would be able to break through to the Nether Passage realm. Very quickly, 2 figures entered Yi Xian's line of sight. Yi Xian focused his eyes and discovered that they were a man and a woman. The man and woman were both around 25 years old. They're so young. It seems that they came from a higher place. Yi Xian's heart trembled. At this time, he suddenly saw that the man and woman were injured. Their faces were pale, and they seemed to be in a hurry. Not only that, but as the 2 approached, Yi Xian also sensed that their realms were most likely not at the 1st level of the Nether Passage realm, but at the 2nd level. These 2 people's auras were weak because they were injured. Help! Someone wants to kill us. After seeing Yi Xian, the woman in white hurriedly shouted. If they were not at the end of their rope, she would not have opened her mouth to ask for help. Asking for my help? Yi Xian silently stood in place, slightly surprised. These 2 people were at the 2nd level of the Nether Passage realm, but they were being pursued. It seemed that the pursuer was stronger than them. No, these 2 people are poisoned. Yi Xian sensed that something was wrong. While he was still in shock, the 2 of them had already approached him. At the same time, he also saw a figure behind the 2 of them. The 2nd level of the Nether Passage realm. The pursuer was a black-robed man at the 2nd level of the Nether Passage realm. I am a disciple of the Heavenly Thunder Hall, Ling Xiao. I was poisoned by a traitor behind my back, and was heavily injured. If you have an antidote, I can pay you handsomely. The young man who was being chased hurriedly shouted. He saw that Yi Xian was only at the 9th level of the manifestation realm. Even if they worked together, they wouldn't be able to defeat the pursuer behind them. He was indeed poisoned. Yi Xian pondered for a moment, then took out 2 heavenly treasures from the devouring space and threw them over. This was one of the harvests of the planting space in the past few days. It was an antidote-type heaven and earth treasure that couldn't be bought in this area. "Brat, you dare?" The black-clothed pursuer shouted angrily. It wasn't easy for him to poison them. If Ling Xiao and the other 2 obtained the clear tea grass, although the poison wouldn't be completely neutralized, it would at least be neutralized by a third. At that time, Ling Xiao and the other 2's battle prowess would increase by 10 to 20%. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up when he saw the 2 stalks of pure white medicinal herbs. He said, "It's the clear tea grass." "Thank you, sir." Then, he took out a cloth bag from his universe ring and threw it to Yi Xian. "Sir, here are 100 inner demon pills." "Thank you." Ling Xiao didn't stand on ceremony and directly threw it to Yi Xian. A mere 100 inner demon pills couldn't compare to his life. If he was caught, he would definitely be killed. At that time, what use would it be even if he was rich enough to rival a country? F***CK. 100 inner demon pills? Yi Xian was shocked. It seemed that these 2 people had a powerful background. They actually gave him 100 inner demon pills in one go. Even if the clear tea grass was very precious, one stalk was only worth 25 inner demon pills at most. Now, the price had doubled. However, this was understandable. After all, this was a critical moment. "Brat, you're courting death." The black-clothed pursuer was enraged. He directly launched an attack at Yi Xian. "Die, my ass!" Yi Xian was also enraged. He directly raised his hand and punched. Blood explosion fist. Bang! The 2 true chis collided, setting off waves of air that sent smoke and dust spiraling into the air. Ling Xiao and the woman were shocked. They didn't expect Yi Xian, who was only at the 9th level of the manifestation realm, to block the attack of a 2nd-level Nether Passage realm martial artist. It was practically a miracle. Coincidentally, they had already received the clear tea grass. They immediately consumed it and used their true chis to speed up the refinement and detoxify the poison. "Brat, I worked so hard to poison you, and you actually dared to detoxify it. Today, you will definitely die." The black-clothed pursuer was furious. His goal wasn't to kill Ling Xiao and his sister Ling Yun. Now that Yi Xian had given him 2 stalks of clear tea grass, he missed the opportunity. So, he transferred his anger to Yi Xian. "Die, my ass!" Yi Xian didn't say anything else. After a burst of light shot out from his eyes, he raised his hand and clawed. "Eye of Glory." Left Azure Dragon stretching claws, first move of the 8 powers, seeing dragon in the field. Left Azure Dragon stretches its claws, second move of the 8 moves, twin dragons play with a pearl. Left Azure Dragon stretches its claws, third move of the 8 moves, soaring dragon in the sky. Golden dragons bared their fangs and brandished their claws as they pounced at the black-clothed pursuer. By the time the black-clothed pursuer approached, Yi Xian had already condensed 5 golden heavenly dragons. "So it's the Nether Passage divine art. You have some skills, but you still have to die." The black-clothed pursuer clenched his fist and stabbed fiercely. Whoosh! A sword ray pierced through the air, directly piercing through one of the golden dragons and striking Yi Xian's shoulder. However, Yi Xian didn't care at all, because his wound would quickly heal. Left Azure Dragon stretches its claws, 6th move of the 8 moves, 6 dragon circle. Yi Xian continued to attack. At this moment, he only needed 50 inner demon pills to break through to the Nether Passage realm. This black-clothed pursuer was at the 2nd level of the Nether Passage realm. As long as he killed him, it should be enough. "Brat, you actually dodged the previous attack by luck. This time, I'll definitely pierce through your head." The black-clothed pursuer roared and stabbed again with his sword. "Not good." Ling Zhao's expression changed drastically. Yi Xian was their savior. If he died here, they would be guilty. Moreover, he saw that Yi Xian's strength was impressive, and he even knew the Nether Passage divine art. If they joined forces, they might be able to kill this black-clothed pursuer. "Sister, join forces and kill." Ling Xiao cut to the chase. He clenched his fists and turned to attack. "Yes." Hearing this, Ling Yun also turned around without another word. Whoosh! Bang! Ling Xiao defeated the black-clothed pursuer's attack with one punch and saved Yi Xian. "How dare you turn around and come back?" You're walking into a trap. The black-clothed pursuer's aura surged as he charged forward. Now it was 3 against 1. Although Yi Xian was at the 9th level of the manifestation realm, his true combat strength wasn't any weaker than the black-clothed pursuer's. Coupled with Ling Xiao and Ling Yun, this black-clothed pursuer would definitely die. Left Azure Dragon claws 8 powers. 7th move, Divine Dragon swings its tail.